I don't know, honestly, if he did. Maybe he got taken. But this was basically the moment when I saw you saying that.
Don't let it get you on this one, Vaush. You gotta fight back.
So, yeah, sorry.
I've talked about so many different groups with broad denunciations. I speak in historical terms. Which groups do I want to see survive after all of this is done? The answer is going to be obvious every time. I don't want any far-right group to survive, because those are the people that create the conflicts that end up killing more people down the line. Obviously, if you take a look at any historical conflict in World War II, who do I want coming out on the other side? Well, in the grand scheme of things, obviously, the people who won't do a second Holocaust. I mean, that seems reasonable. With regards to the Azov battalion, I want to be clear. This gets caught up in a lot of
Why doesn't he just admit he should have worded it differently? No. He worded it correctly. He said it exactly what he means. If you are politically far right, he wants you to die. How's life going?
Well, the shittiest New Year ever. Let's put it like that. Because we have been shelled like today. They like did like 100 missiles. I spent most of the day in the corridor, which is not the way I usually spend my New Year's, but you know, such is life. So no New Year's party, no fireworks, boring, depressing, yuck. Also killed people obviously, but not me, so that's good.
Jeez. Well,
Russians, everything up, you know.
yeah.
They decided to ruin New Year's thoroughly this year, which is understandable. It's the biggest, basically, celebration, biggest holiday in Ukraine, so makes sense they would fuck things up, you know.
Sure. Is it like, is New Year's like...
I didn't drink a lot.
You did...
Oh, sorry.
What did you say? You did drink a lot?
Yeah, we drank a lot and wished some certain orcs to die very awful deaths. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, it was... Everyone pretty much had the same wish right now in Ukraine, you know?
Yeah, I can imagine.
For 2023. The toasts are pretty similar to I think literally every person. So yeah.
I heard you had a fun conversation with my esteemed colleague, Vaush.
Was a dramatic conversation. I don't know if you watched the juicy bits, but there was like everything you want, like fist clenching, crying. There was like all sorts of stuff. Pretty
Nice.
good, I think. You should watch it. You will like it, I think.
Yeah, I've got it loaded in the
Dynamic.
background. I just haven't started watching it yet, but yeah.
Yeah, we can talk when you do sometime, because I think you will have thought. At least I think you would. Not sure. Yeah, I heard you discovered the secret of colored hair, so you're keeping it because it gets you bitches.
Okay. I would say attracts
That's
young
not exactly
women.
what you said.
Okay, you need to switch you switched your language, okay? Now you need to switch to the progressive jargon that we use in the United States. We don't
Yeah.
say bitches.
Ladies.
They're ladies.
That's good.
Thank you. True.
Ladies good?
Yes.
Ladies, yeah. Basically, it is true, and I'm happy you discovered it. It's a
Yeah.
great conversation starter, even if you are like a woman yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, when people kind of come to you, and to me, for example, and they would be like, oh, hello, gorgeous, and you're like, ew, like, it's weird, it's kind of creepy, you know? But then if they say, oh, you have awesome hair, and you're like, oh, thank you, sweet, and it's like a conversation starter that is not creepy.
Yeah, the
And
trick.
you can get yourself dates and shit.
Yeah, the way that you're supposed to compliment somebody as a guy, if you're not being creepy, is you have to compliment something that somebody spent effort on, not something that they have no control over. So like if you walk up to like a stranger girl, yeah, and you're like, oh my God, you have such beautiful eyes. That's like kind of like a little bit weird. But if you're like, oh, you've got like really, like you did your hair nice, especially if they're like straight or curled, or if they're wearing a dress, it's like an easy, like, oh, you have such a nice dress. Like that feels less creepy because it's something
Yeah, the
that,
look.
yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you can do it in a great way. As you know, I ask people to call me cute, so I'm not like offended when people compliment on things I cannot do anything about, like being cute, for example, right? But if people compliment like your hair, your look, your style, maybe it's always tattoos is great when people like compliment you have such like sick tats, and it's like immediate like bonus from me. I would immediately be like very cheerful about the person. Also,
Yeah.
the hair, when you like literally spend like you know, a lot of money and effort for it to look the way it does, and someone like compliments it, and you're like, oh, thank you so much, because it feels like someone appreciates like the effort, basically,
Yeah.
not like, you know, in a creepy way. So it works, and you discovered it. I heard.
Yeah,
So,
true.
Good job.
Do you know do you know a guy named Coach Redpill or Gonzola Lira?
No,
Nope. Okay, gotcha. Never mind.
heard of this dude. Should I?
He was like, he's an American that went to Ukraine because he hates like the West and he wants to be part of like the Eastern.
Oh, I know the guy. I take it back. Dylan, I think, showed me something. I think I know him. Yeah. I think he talked with him or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. He like lives in a flat and in Ukraine somewhere, creep, and like spreads Russian propaganda bullshit and says they're already winning. They're like winning any day now. This guy, I think it's
Yeah.
him.
I don't know if he still does or if he stopped, but yeah.
He did, yeah, and he said like Russia, NATO is afraid of Russia. My guy lost the plot, but you know, happens, I guess, to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did talk to Vaush, and it was dynamic, and you should, like I said, watch it. And yeah, basically we talked about most of like his Azov takes, which ended up being slightly more excruciating than I expected. I still kind of, you know, I like don't hate the guy. I don't think he's like awful. I still respect him, but for the work he done for Ukraine. But holy shit, that was something.
Yeah.
People like DM'd me and asked me if I'm questions about this conversation, and I think I did kind of bad. I think because it's like my first debate ever in public. So you know, and he's like a good debater and shit, like known, you know, for being like proficient in that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's his job, I think, or was it at least. So yeah, I don't think I was like particularly amazing, but apparently people liked it because there was like very different opinions even in his chat. And on Twitter, most people were like, from his community actually messaged me saying that I was either correct or they understood my points, which is what I wanted. I like didn't want people to change their minds exactly. I want them to understand the perspective of Ukrainian people, of my perspective, like my concerns basically.
Oh, okay,
So,
that's good.
Yeah, I think it worked, but yeah, some points where I just want you to watch it and then we can like talk about it. So I don't want to like how do you call it, poison something.
Yeah, sure, gotcha. Poison the well,
Before
whatever.
you watch it, like, yeah. So yeah, basically, but overall it was mostly like Nazis should die. Azov, not all Nazis. He admitted. He said like he admits that they're not all Nazis, but they should die just in case. That's basically was the conversation.
Sure.
And the best thing about it was, of course, that I couldn't like pretty much, I think, convince him at all. So,
Yeah, he's got pretty hard audience capture on that one. Like he's not like to be able to speak against that is going to be really hard because of how radical his audience will be, right?
Well, you like I said, make your own opinion. But I just figured out something very funny when I finished talking, and I was ass mad, honestly. But you know what happens.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah. So I was basically figured something out. So one of the arguments I hear from him and from many other leftists in that term is that if they admit they are not all Nazis, it's just the association is enough for them. So even if they're not Nazis, like the association is enough.
Yep.
For me, it's obviously not enough.
Yeah.
To wish people dead. But that's another story. But one fun fact that I figured out literally today when I thought about it, and I got really drunk. But I think the best part is that their argument can be literally used against them. So most of his argument was that they're like hiding their power level basically. So I was trying to convince him that they're not the same, that they changed in those 8 years, and we have a lot of like facts to back it up. So most people are just regular people. They are no longer like far right, but they're just people who joined the battalions to fight against, invaders. And they did not commit any crimes against Jews that we know of. There is no proof. They did not like do any, stuff. Like in Mariupol, which is their base, there's literally like a Hanukkah tree, basically, like in the middle of the city. And the Prokopenko Denis, who is like leader of Azov after Beletsky, who was a Nazi. There were like several leaders after him, and Prokopenko is Jew himself, and he's been the leader of Azov for a very long time.
Sure.
So there's other stories basically. I talked to him a lot about that with other people, and I think you know a lot of that as well. But basically, despite that, all of that, he still thinks basically that they are a threat because in the future they will can overtake power.
Dumb shit.
And which has literally zero. Possibility of happening because nobody in Ukraine supported those parties. There is completely deeply unpopular beliefs. Even amongst his party, Beletsky, his own far-right dudes ditched him because they were like, fuck that anti-Semitic shit, it's way too much. Nobody
and there's this weird idea that like the far right is going to take over Ukraine and they have like one seat in your parliament and it's like you've got like a Jewish
Yes.
it's like it's just so stupid. Yeah, like where is this huge threat? Like where are all these fucking Nazis? Where are all the anti-Semitic crimes? Like what's happening? Like it's just that Azov shit. So many lefties signal boost this. In fact, I would say initially it was mainly people on the left that started the Nazi trope of like the Ukrainian Nazis and the United States sending like funds to Nazis to arm Nazis and all that shit.
Yeah. People in journals posted it, so like Washington Post did, I think New York Times did. They did those completely incorrect articles about Azov. In fact, they did not talk about Beletsky actually, who was a Nazi indeed. So they didn't even, talk about real facts. They talked about like bullshit pretty much that Russia propagated. Straight up like inflated boogeyman of in the power of Azov and other far-right people was so exaggerated. They literally hold zero political power. They're like the battalion fights, of course, and people praise them for being, fighting for us, for Azov-style defenders and stuff like that. But they have like pretty much no sway on the population. And right now, people are hell-bent on fighting fascists. People call Russians fascists all the time here in the in my opinion, but it's just no way that people will be more how to say it, more the brain wine ate my brain. I'm sorry. There's really no indication that people will be more willing to take far right ideas and to be far right after the war ends, if it ends, So yeah, it is pretty weird. And he used that all the time as a threat, basically. They're a potential friend, and that potentiality makes it good for them to die. Basically.
Yeah, but the stupid problem is that like people have a really hard time dealing with scale and scope, and that's always the annoying thing. Everything is the end of the world. Everything is the worst thing ever. Everything is going to lead to like this huge snowball effect. And it's like there are things that are worth talking about. Like there are undoubtedly far right ultra nationalistic aspects of Ukraine's military. That's like undeniable.
Yeah.
But there are far-right, ultra-nationalistic aspects to every single military on the planet. Like, it just attracts those types of people. Like, you're going to find Nazi or neo-Nazis probably in the U.S. military. Like, it's just going to happen in every military because those people gravitate towards those types of things. But the question is like, what's the percentage? Do they have popular support? And do they have legislative representation? Those are, like, the important questions, right? And, like, even the Azov battalion, like, when it existed as its own separate thing, was only a small number of people. And it was only some percentage of them that were even supposedly, like, neo-Nazis. So like when you're talking about like a small, like one battalion and like what, 10 or 20% of these people that like, and there's no parliamentary support, there's no popular support for it. Like this idea that everybody's going to become a Nazi afterwards, I think it's just really stupid. Like it's okay to talk about it and criticize it, but don't pretend like it's going to be like the next leadership of Ukraine is coming from the Azov battalion. It's stupid as.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's exactly like 100% agree. That's basically no corporation backend, no political backend, no people's backend. They have nothing like that. And the fact that there are again, no crimes committed, unless the fairy tales of Russia to be believed. But like no human like organization like found them, killing Jews on gays or some shit like that. So basically, yeah, if they did that, that would be another conversation probably. But this is pretty much a hypothetical threat. So we are just assuming there are fucking evil demons from hell because some of them are far right. You know?
Yeah.
And this is pretty sad, honestly, and the fact how easily it is for many leftists to pretty much condemn them and say that it's okay to kill them, to dox their location to Russians, for Russians to kill them, which is basically what he said. And it's very weird. And the most important bit that again came up to me today, I think, is this idea of he basically believes that the only thing keeping them from doing genocides right now is the fact that they don't have power.
Sure.
Which is very interesting, because this argument is honestly, he basically said, I don't want to misquote, but if you watch it, you will probably get it. He basically said a gem of a phrase that if they had power, they would do worse things than Russians are today.
Sure.
My brain just shut down at this moment, because literally pictures of children raped and mass graves and slaughter came to my mind. Like bits of my dad on the wall came to my mind, and I thought dude, what? On what assumption are you basing this on? That they will commit what? To whom? To Ukrainians? To Jews in Ukraine? To whom? There are Jews in that battalion. Jews, Greeks, Tatar people, Azerbaijani people who are not even white,
Yeah.
but by the estimation of white supremacists. And I was just, what? He was comparing them to Wehrmacht all the time, to SS. He basically said, there were good people in SS, but doesn't mean I don't want them dead, right? And I was like,
Yeah,
why
it's-
are we comparing SS? Who did Azov genocide? Who did they invade? Who did they kill? Who did they harm? Where is in their manifestos, in their like ideology, where is this fucking Nazism? Basically, the symbol is all they care about, like that fucking emblem they used in the beginning, which was not good, obviously. But
Sure,
you know,
yeah.
overall, they like basically isolationists for sure. So they're like against NATO, against European Union. They really want to be like independent Ukraine. Nobody fucks with us, guys. They may be Ukraine for Ukrainians. I'm pretty sure quite a lot of them are kind of racist in terms they don't want like brown people here, you know, stuff
Sure,
like that. That's
yeah.
for sure, 100%. But it's not like they're like hell bent on genociding people. It's just it's very he doesn't even care, I think, about anti-Semitism. Is it not like a crucial thing to be a Nazi, to be an anti-Semite? Apparently not. Nazis like everything.
Yeah, maybe. I try not to argue about that because we have a bunch of disagreements in my audience over what a Nazi is, so I don't I don't argue with them about that anyway. But yeah, typically the way that it works today is contemporaneously speaking, like anybody that's far right in the West is going to be called like a Nazi. Well, at least in the United States, anybody that's far right we just call
What
Nazis.
about like I don't understand. There are like far nationalists. There are like fascists who are not
No.
Nazis.
There's no differentiation between any of it. They're all Nazis. That's just it. That's how it goes. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you. That missed me
Yeah.
when we talked. Yeah, but anyhow, the best thing about it is this logic can be used on socialists. I didn't say it, but it came up to me. Like, if you think about it, how can we know that the only thing that stops socialists and communists from committing like genocides against bourgeois, landlords, intelligentsia, class traitors is the
Well,
fact that they don't have power?
You got to be
I
careful
mean,
because a lot of people like Vaush would say that like he doesn't necessarily know. Like I think he'll say that like we shouldn't genocide like rich people, but if you ask him like, well, if billionaires were killed, would that be evil? He would start to go off on some like, well, from utilitarian calculus, killing billionaires would be like a morally neutral action, and the people that are being exploited by them have so like he'd answer like that 100%. So, or like homeowners too, like landlords. Yeah.
I just don't know. You know, maybe he's hiding socialists and communists hiding their power level. Who knows? Because every time they get to power, they seem to fucking genocide everyone. In Soviet Union and other countries as well, you know? So how do I know that the only thing that's keeping them from doing that is power level, is the fact that they don't have power right now? Maybe I'm not thinking that, honestly. I'm just making fun of their argument. If I thought that, basically, I would be like, oh, maybe we should preventively destroy communists before they, got to power and start genociding people. It's
Sure.
freaking retarded. Nobody thinks like that in normal mind. But
Well-
they allow them to think like that about far-right people with no problem, you know?
Yeah.
How do I know that far-left people are not going to do that shit? They seem to do it every time they get power.
Yeah,
So it
they
all
do.
starts with, juicy talk about proletariat, save proletariat, destroy, create classless society and shit like that. But then it ends up in fucking genocide every time. So how do I know you don't want to do that? And fun fact, he himself actually, talked with people, by the way, who he disagrees with, tankists and shit, like he's not pro-Russian, obviously, but they are. And they're like, start with, we want a classless society, stateless, we want to elevate the poor, the proletariat, but Stalin did some bad stuff, but he wasn't that bad, right? In the end of the days, he was like doing the right thing, He was like trying to preserve the rights of the proletariat, the Marxist dream, and to kill some people, to gulag some guys, not good, but you kind of have to,
I mean, like some of these tankies will defend like, oh, well, the people that died under Mao, like most of them were like, landlords and people that were exploiting the population anyway. Like people will say
that's
shit
what
like
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So basically, he says that Nazis basically should all die, just like preventatively. It's good for them to die, basically. But that's basically what communists ended up doing. They're like, oh, you're a nationalist, fucking die, dude. That's what they did.
Yeah.
Literally what they did. So how do by that logic, I should be happy when socialists and communists die because they have the potentiality to kill people.
Sure.
It's fucking stupid. I don't want that. I don't jump into their brains. I don't assume immediately that the person who is a socialist is a fucking genocider. Why do they assume that from like every far right or every right leaning nationalist or someone?
Yeah.
Not every nationalist is a fucking genocide maniac. What the fuck?
True.
I was pretty upset, honestly, by all of that. yeah. Anyhow, cheers, dude. New Year's.
Yeah, happy New Year's.
I drank a lot, I must say. So.
Nice. Did you get to
There
hang
were a
out with
lot of
like
tasks.
family or friends or anything, or?
Yeah, a bit, but it was still very, sad and yeah, very quiet. No like fireworks. No, I generally party with my friends. Literally, no of my friends are here right now. Most
Oh,
of them
damn.
are on the front or in other countries. Like nobody,
Mm-hmm.
not a single person. So it's yeah, it's pretty sad. Miss them a lot for sure,
Mm-hmm.
and would like to see them again someday. Yeah. Oh, I actually wanted to ask you something incredibly spicy,
Uh-oh.
and I forgot.
Oh.
It's kind of late, by the way. I think my mom is going to literally murder me for talking loud. She's, but
shit.
whatever. If I die, it's not Russians, it's her.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
That's the real
basically
streamer
the
problem
question-
is talking loudly in a house and shit, yeah.
Yes, yes, and it's very late. It's like 3 already in the night, or half.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have like? I didn't know you would be like streaming in New Year's. You're like relentless, dude.
That's all I do, yeah.
I see. Basically, the question. It is very, very spicy. Be prepared.
Okay. Jesus.
So people in, are you getting afraid or something? I have a list. So basically, people in YouTube chat and on Twitter as well, DGGers actually, talk a lot about how you seem uninterested when we talk. Bored even. Are you bored and uninterested? Smiley face. Because to me, it does not come off that way. But so many people say it that I started to question myself. How's that?
I mean, I can only hear about missiles so many times before it's like, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
see.
I think usually the thing is
I
that like
figured.
I'm listening to what you're saying, but there's not much like feedback or input I can give, so it's gonna come off as that like I'm totally disinterested. Like I'm interested in what you're saying, there's not much I can like contribute, right? Like I don't know like what to say. So I'm
Told
just
them.
what?
That's exactly what I told them. That's exactly what I told them.
Mm-hmm.
I told them like, well, he doesn't seem like he's like born to death to me, and he also tells me to come around. If he didn't want me here, he would tell me fuck off, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, or I would start. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, you do like talk with me and shit, and I honestly I don't know what they want from you. They're like he's playing Factory instead of like engaging with you, like you're like the interesting guest and he doesn't talk with you. And I'm like, what can he say exactly? When there is something to say, you do say it, like now, for example.
Sure.
But when I told with you about some atrocious shit that is going on, and you're like, what will you add other than gotcha and anything else? Obviously.
Gotcha. Yeah. True. Gotcha.
That's a worthy contribution, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, see that, haters? He does not think I'm boring. It's your problem, not us
True.
problem.
Based.
So yeah, basically that's about it, I think. Oh, it's the same people who say you are bored, come off as bored or uninterested. Also say that you basically can't have conversation that are not confrontational or debate-like.
That's probably true.
You are bad having conversation that is not involve arguing. To keep you interested, I gotta be debating. Confused noises. I rolled that.
Yeah, that's actually kind of true. I typically like my favorite conversations are usually like combative ones, and I don't know if that might be a bad trait. Because if I don't have anything to disagree with somebody about, I end up just kind of like nodding along. It's like, oh, okay. But when people have disagreements, there's more that like we can kind of like dig into for the conversation.
Well, that's a problem because I literally don't know what the fuck we disagree on. So, yeah. Sorry, Steven.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's something out there. But I tend not to argue. I won't argue cross-culture differences too much if there's like big geographic differences. Like we'd probably disagree a bit on like the misogynistic stuff. But like you're coming from a whole different world than me, so like I'm not. What?
We did disagree on cute stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but like I'm not about to like change your entire like view of the world if you're Eastern European, okay? You women are barely humans over there right now, okay? I'm not about to give you my enlightened, progressive American take on, how we view people. So, maybe in 10 years you guys will be ready for that, all right?
No, come on. You're actually, our dudes are more gentle than your dudes, honestly.
Are more gentle?
Gentlemen-like.
Gentlemen-like.
Or,
Oh yeah, like they want you guys like barefoot and pregnant indoors, like 24/7, like that kind of like gentleman like. Oh, that's so nice. So chivalrous. Oh, it's all good. It's okay.
But actually, it's kind of fun that people think that, because it's one good thing communism did, I guess, is the fact that women did work and they had education for a very long time, and they were treated sort of like, not as equal, I guess, but in a more equal way than you would imagine. So yeah, it's not like, I would say that that women here are treated pretty fine. At least I have not like encountered that much like misogyny shit.
Okay.
But I don't know. Maybe that's me. Who knows?
Maybe you disagree with her on blaming all Russians and shit. I mean, like, that's gonna be like another like cross culture thing. Like, that would be like, imagine somebody comes up to you, like imagine like a woman comes up to you and she's like, oh, like, I don't trust any man. And you're like, well, that's not healthy. And the woman's like, okay, well, I was raped like 4 times as a child. It's like, I'm not about to argue with that person that like, you need to change the way you view things, right? Same thing with like, if somebody lives in Ukraine, especially if you've had family members that have been killed by, Russian missiles and shit. I'm not about to argue with you that like, you shouldn't hold like all Russians accountable. Like, you probably shouldn't, but like, that's just not an argument that why the I have that argument. That's just like, yeah, it's stupid, I think.
And can maybe say something about that, because people assume that, I guess, but like, I don't literally blame every Russian.
Sure.
I'm like well aware that there are people in Russia who are very much distraught by this whole shit. They message me even sometimes, like wrote emails to me and stuff. Some were like, how can I donate to you without getting like busted and stuff like that. Conversation. Yeah. It's a conversation I have, so it's not like I like think all of them like as pawns of evil, obviously not. But I think that Russia overall is to blame in terms of a country, not like every individual person, because it is very fascistic in its ideology.
Sure.
So the ideology I don't like for sure, and I think it's need to be destroyed. The ideology, even for their sake, to be honest, it's not like the best thing ever there right now.
Yeah.
But not a single person, of course. But overall, I think people getting really like, in the West especially, angsty about essentializing, about like generalizing all people, which is bad, I guess.
Yeah.
And I understand that because it's what Russians did to us, right? They're like say all Nazis, right? All Ukrainians are Nazis. It's like also essentializing in a way. So I understand how it can be wrong, essentializing people, but at the same time, is it essentializing when it's literally the majority of them do in fact either support or are conformist?
Sure.
It's not, in my opinion. It's just the fact. I wouldn't say that it was essentializing to say all Germans were somewhat partially responsible for war, because not every single German. There were plenty of Germans that were very against that. They saved Jews in their houses and shit like that, who were very like proactive in their, risking their lives even to, save people and to be fighting against Nazism and shit like that. But the majority did. So it's if it was, I guess at least, if it was 50% of Russians who were against and who were like very for it, I would not be uncomfortable in saying all Russians or Russians.
Yeah, I understand.
To me, it would seem wrong. Yeah, but if it is like 70+%, and it just is. So in that case, I'm comfortable saying Russians. Like, don't say every time, not all Russians every time. It just doesn't make sense to me. Of course, I don't mean literally every single Russian. It's not possible, like physically, I think.
Sure.
But considering like the majority of them do in fact support it, even if they're against Putin, you will find a Russian who's like, yeah, Putin sucks dick and he's like bad, and we don't like the guy, he's like a dictator and shit. They will may still bless you with imperialist chauvinistic bullshit. Honestly, this was my biggest, actually, kind of like a surprise moment, because I found this guy many years ago that basically came to Kharkiv, and we went kind of like on a date and shit, and he was from Russia. And basically what happened is that he was like chilling with me all day, and we were like, I was showing him the city and stuff, and he was incredibly rude to every Ukrainian.
Okay.
So he would like belittle, besmirch like every single thing, the language, the flag, the everything, like our like words here and stuff like that. And I was like, what on the fuck? And the guy was supposedly liberal Russian, so like anti-Putin, very like, not exactly like your typical Soviet junkie or something like that. First, the people who like Soviet Union and shit, or nostalgia, or even like modern day Russia. He was not like that, but he was literally the most chauvinistic cunt you can like possibly find. And there was like this glorious moment that he just ate a bag of chips basically, and he tossed the package like straight to the floor, to the ground, on the street.
Okay.
And I was like, dude, it's like right there, like toss them into the garbage bin, It's like 2 feet away from you, what the fuck? And he was like, it's Ukraine, it's Khoklandia, he said. Khoklandia is like, Khokhly is like derogatory word they use against Ukrainians. And land
Jeez.
is like, yeah. So it's like Kaklandia, and I can throw shit anywhere I want.
Okay. This guy sounds a little bit autistic, but okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, yeah? Well, feel free not to come back to my apartment. And he was like, what? And I was like, it's Kaklandia, right? I can throw shit anywhere I want. And I'm throwing you. That's what I said.
Damn.
Yeah, so I was pissed off as fuck. So, that was my interaction. And this is not me saying that every Russian is like that, obviously, but me saying that the person is liberal or anti-Putin does not mean he respects other people in Ukraine, especially. They have like a severe problem in respecting people's sovereignty and independences,
Yeah.
So
There's also, I don't know if the
yeah.
same thing happens with Russians, because I don't have the experience, but there's a weird phenomenon where people will say like they're kind of in the middle, they don't support something, but they absolutely do. So I don't know if you've seen this or if you've interacted with this a lot in the United States, but if you're in the United States or if you're on like American internet, if you're like Americans talking on Twitter, anytime somebody calls themselves like a centrist or they're in the center or they're not like partisan, they don't do left or right, they're just looking for truth or blah, blah, blah. All of those people are massive Trump fans and all of them are conservative. Every single time.
Yes.
It'll be some shit where they'll be like, yeah, I'm kind of in the center, I'm undecided, I'm independent, I'm not partisan, but like all trans people are groomers, Biden is like having seizures and a stroke and he's evil, and I didn't really like a lot of what Trump said, but at least he represented the American people and he wasn't as corrupt as everyone else and he was trying, like it'll always be that case. So they'll always identify as like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of like centrist, blah, blah, but they're always partisan hacks for the right, every single fucking time.
I see. So it's like they use it like to up their credibility
Yes.
in a way, right?
Yeah, because the idea is like, I want to be
I'm not
nonpartisan, and then it makes it seem like they're enlightened. Like, oh yeah, of course, I'm above picking political positions just because it's left or right. Like, yeah, it's like that. They say that shit to get some credit.
That's basically, it's a different way in Russian, but they also do kind of sort of this thing. So basically what they will do, they will say, I'm apolitical. And you'll be like, okay. Yeah, but then they're like, well, Ukraine is part of Russia and Crimea was gifted to you and it should be taken back. But I'm apolitical, dude. And you're like, I see.
Yeah, and everybody that has a strong position on like the Ukrainian war and everything, like will all be like apolitical. Like, oh, I'm not left or not right, but like I kind of think that Ukraine should just completely and totally surrender the entire fucking war because Russia mentioned like nuclear weapons one time and they should give back everything. And Zelensky is also evil and stealing money from the United States that should be going to poor people. And there's like a whole NATO is corrupt, and it's like, okay, damn, what happened to being apolitical? And it's like, yeah, but it's just like it's the same shit every single fucking time.
Yes, honestly, like very few people are apolitical. Maybe if you live somewhere like, I don't know, in Tibet or something, like in the forest, in the mountains or some shit, and don't interact with society, maybe yes. But in like, especially, it's so fucking hilarious being apolitical in Russia. Like everything is drenched in like propaganda, politics, ideology, rewritten of history, like Soviet Union shit, modern day Russia. It's like policy is everywhere. It's one of the most political, so to speak, countries in terms of their like media is like drenched with with political like agenda, and it is very fun when people in Russia like on a serious note say they're apolitical. Yeah.
Usually
like,
apolitical, usually just means, do you know status quo? Does that translate, or do you have?
Yes.
Yeah, apolitical usually just means status quo. So they'll say they're apolitical, but they just support like whatever environment they're around. But they think that makes them apolitical.
Yeah. Basically, so like I said, I'm not saying that. I think generalization in this case is fine. It's rational because most of them are. For example, good example would be like you would hardly find a Ukrainian. At least I don't hear this at all, almost anywhere in like on the internet, in real life, that Ukrainians say all Belarusians or say all Belarus people. They don't say it. Because we know, despite the fact that Lukashenko, they're like this funny dictator with mustaches, that he is pro-Putin 100%. They literally shell us from Belarus every day. They do planes from there. They attacked Kyiv from there all the time. They did those genocides in Bucha, Hostomel, Irpin, primarily because of they went from Belarus territory to them, So yes, but still people really don't say like, oh, Belarus are fascist fucks and we hate them. Sure. Because we know that the population does not support in general this war. And they don't want to be like, despite the fact that they are authoritarian, like totalitarian, I should say, probably dictator is obviously pro-Putin. and they use Belarus to attack us. We don't say that because Ukrainians are not comfortable like generalizing in this instance because we know that it's not true. Like all stats show it, like research shows it, and there are complete unwillingness of Lukashenko to mobilize people because he knows they will not, support him.
Yeah.
Despite everyone screaming Belarus will invade, attack any moment, and they don't because it's pretty clear that they don't want that, even in the slightest. So yeah, I mean, I think they're spineless cocks, but I don't think they're like fascist, evil, So there. So there. Generalizing all Belarusians, I would think they're wrong. Also, again, if Russians were at least like, I think I would be uncomfortable saying Russians in general, even if
They
it
were like
was
50-50 or something.
Yeah, 50-50, right, yeah. So it would be wrong, I think. But it's not wrong now, in my opinion. It's just the statement it's just the truth of it, I guess. Yeah, so that's it basically. I think that's about it, probably. I wanted to talk about something else, but I'm way too drunk to remember it now. So there's that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so you're not bored of me. That's a good news. But people really think you're like mean or some shit. I like read so many comments on YouTube chat, on like I think Twitter as well, and people like discuss it. The channels that clip stuff from you, like DGG World, and another one I think I forgot what it's called. Basically, they like post our talks sometimes, like the bits, and they would be like, "Oh, he's so like, why he doesn't engage?" Like, I am like, "He is engaging. What are you about?" I think they're like rude to you for no reason, basically.
Well, no, I mean, like I probably come off as rude, but like I said, like I'm really used to when I'm talking. It's like almost always like really combative. That's just like generally. That's just like the conversation. Like even when like experts email me shit, like people email me like, oh, like I'm a PhD in this topic, and I'm like, okay, like, do you have something you really want to talk about, or do we have any major disagreements? Because if not, usually I've discovered this in the past. What'll happen is somebody will come on and they're gonna talk, and I don't disagree, and I can let that along. It's like, and I just don't have much input, and like, yeah, the conversations seem like everybody gets that impression that like I'm really bored or I hate the person. It's not really. I just sounded like there's nothing I can really say. I think, yeah, but yeah.
To be honest, I did not get that impression. Maybe I'm like too Slavic for that shit. So to me, it's fine when person does not emote like crazy every now and then, and he's like, "OMG, really?" I really like don't expect this type of stuff from you. So because I told you already, you remind me of my Slavic bros. So that.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Oh, one thing though, I forgot. So basically, people send me a bunch of stuff about you and Nick Fuentes again, and I already talked with you about that before, last time I think, or the time before that. And I have one question that maybe not like, it's arguing. You love arguing, so yeah, let's be that.
Okay.
Not calling Nick Fuentes a Nazi, or at least anti-Semite, is not a good way of fighting against leftists who ruin the word, I think. I understand that you believe that the word lost its meaning and basically became useless, but not calling people who are pretty obviously Nazis, Nazis is not an answer in my opinion. That's it. So basically, people told me that you refused to call him even an anti-Semite, and they showed me a clip of you talking with a strange person, Mr. Girl, and you basically told him, he asked you like, is he like doing anti-Semitism, something like that, and you told him like, I don't think so, like not really. But
so usually when I'm meeting people online to argue, what I like to argue about is there's two ways to roughly do it. I either like to argue, you can either argue with like the positions that people state, or you can argue against like the things that you think they believe. Like, do you have the term dog whistle?
Yes. I know what it is. I mean, we don't use it, but I know.
So I used to argue with like the subtle implied things a lot more, but something that I found to be more effective is that like if people conduct themselves in a certain way, even if I think they might be masking beliefs, what I'll do is I'll just go really hard and lean into really hard, like the things that they say, and I'll hold them to account for those particular things. And one of two things can happen, and I've noticed this from watching adversarial audiences, like the audiences of the other people. Either one, they'll end up not bringing out their true beliefs. And I think that what people think happens when they don't bring out their true beliefs, people think that what's going to happen is like, oh my God, like you're making this person a lot more sanitized and now your audience is going to go to them. I don't think that's what happens though, because usually your audience will know who you're talking to. Like nobody in my audience is like, wow, maybe Fuentes is actually like way more chill than I thought. What actually happens is the other person's audience tends to get really mad because they'll feel like that person cucked out. So like if I talk to somebody that's normally way more radical and when I speak to them, they start to couch their language a lot lot more. They're a lot more careful. People will usually say like, why did this guy cuck out so hard? Like, why didn't he bring this up? Like, I don't understand why he didn't like push back more on Destiny. Like, I see Sneeko and even Fuentes' audience, I saw them saying things like that a lot, that they were really upset that they felt like they weren't bringing out like their strongest arguments. There's that, but then two, if you own somebody where like, if you let them own their positions and you take them where they're at and you fight with that, you end up not like, a really scary thing that a lot of people end up doing is they end up like boxing with shadows, to where like there are some like anti-Semitic things that Fuentes says, but what happens is people, so like here's an updated neo-Nazi position, okay? The older online Nazi position was that the Holocaust never happened. It was totally fake, right? The updated neo-Nazi position is usually what they'll say is, okay, yeah, the Holocaust happened and it was bad.
They will doubt it, right?
Well, no. They don't doubt it. They'll say it happened, but the numbers are exaggerated, or it happened and the numbers are exaggerated, and other bad things happened. Like there were like the Dresden bombings, and you know, Japan did horrible things, and the United States had internment camps, and like they'll try to kind of obfuscate. The problem is that if you run into these conversations screaming, "You're a Nazi, you don't even believe in the Holocaust," their whole audience will look at you and they'll go like, well, no, we do think the Holocaust happened. We just think it's exaggerated. And you end up boxing with shadows. You look like an idiot. Like you look bad in front of your audience and the other audience. And then everything just gets like completely fucked. And it ends up not being an effective strategy. That's one part. And then the second part, real quick, sorry, is people use really morally loaded labels like Nazi. They don't use that to engage with people's beliefs. They use it to hand wave them. So somebody will be like, okay, like, can you argue against like why Fuentes is wrong here? And they're like, oh, why is Fuentes wrong? Because he's a Nazi. That's not an argument. That's not an argument against why he's wrong. A Nazi, and so something that we're seeing right now happening a lot in the United States that's really scary is anti-Semitism is massively on the rise in the United States, especially being propagated by a lot of members of the Black community. And nobody in the United States really knows how to argue against like Nazi talking points or anti-Semitism, because usually all we said was like, oh, they're Nazi, and then you don't have to deal with it. But it's like, how do you actually deal with some of the more popular Nazi talking points or neo-Nazi talking points about how Jews control the media, the Holocaust is exaggerated, how do you know how many people died? Like, people don't know the answers to those questions. So all of that, that's largely why I'm not like quick to be like, oh, that guy's a Nazi, because people want to use that to just write somebody off, and they don't even fully align with all the Nazi beliefs. Instead, just attack them where they were with everything they say, right? That's usually like my perspective on it, yeah.
I see. Well, it's way more reasonable than people make it out to be.
Yeah, usually people say like, I
really?
don't call him a Nazi because I want to like provide cover for him or some, but that's not true. If you watch any of our streams, like I'll fight with every single thing he says. I'm not here to sanitize him. I think the issue isn't with me sanitizing him. The issue is with other people demonizing him. And when people demonize another human and then people go to see that human and they see they're just human, well, now you sanitize them, right? So if somebody watches my stream and they watch me argue with Nick, you're going to know what like where he's believing or what he's standing on, because like these are the things we're arguing about. But if you listen to like a lefty talk about Nick and you go like, oh, Nick Fuentes, he's a Nazi, he hates Jews, he hates Black people, boom, and that's it. And then you go and you watch Nick Fuentes' content, and it's like, well, hold on, there are a lot of Black people in the America First movement. He went over to like the Gray Branson or whatever, he went over to like a Black dude's house, and they had Christmas, and they seemed like, or a birthday or whatever, and they seemed chill, they were chilling. Now, all of these things that you've been told about him are wrong, now you're gonna start to doubt everything. That's the thing that I'm really afraid of. If I criticize somebody, it's gonna be for some shit you said and some shit you believe in. I'm not gonna make up shit to attack you on, and then people aren't gonna trust anything else I say about them. Sorry, okay, that's all of it.
That I think is yeah, well, I just thought that maybe you were like so pissed off at this whole thing about leftists using Nazi on everyone, literally like everyone's mama and grandma is a Nazi these days. So I understand why you mean, like, people call me like a Nazi all the time, you know, like and stuff like that. I understand why would you be like thinking like, oh fuck, they ruined the word, there's no point like using it. It doesn't mean what it used to mean. So it doesn't have like fixed meaning. Like everyone uses this like how the fuck they want. Basically a bad person is a Nazi right now, in my opinion, in most leftist circles. So I understand why it would be, but I just thought that maybe you were like being a bit of a like how do you call it, reactionary in a way, because you thought like, oh well, fuck the word, I would like not call even like obvious Nazis anymore, which I think is maybe the better way to do that is to actually call Nazis, you know?
Sure, maybe
actually Nazis, and try to return this word to its meaning. But maybe you think like it's impossible because you engage way more with that shit than I do, obviously. Like,
and because there's,
I think.
there is like a diversity of belief on the right, even on the far right. Like there's like a big diversity of belief. And ironically, before the Kanye West stuff, America First was one of the less radical movements on the right. Like if you start digging really hard into actual neo-Nazi communities online, if you go to like the Daily Storm or some like more extreme like parts of like the politics board on 4chan or whatever, you can find some people that are literally like, we need to have a second Holocaust. We need to get rid of the Jews. We need to get rid of black people, whatever. Like you can find some more extreme stuff. America First was one of the more moderate far right movements, but there is a big diversity, or there is a lot of different types of like far right movements. Wait, hold on one second. Somebody needs something. Hold on.
Oh. Hey guys, hello. How cute is that, huh? And I got it on 23rd December, 30th. I'm drunk. 31st of December, and it is so cool. My actual Christmas, sort of New Year's present, basically. So, yeah. Today was fucked. Really fucked. Like, so many missile strikes. Holy shit, dude. Well, whatever, Russians, you know? They just need to fuck shit up. That's what they do, I guess.
Okay, sorry, I'm back.
No problem. I was praising the dude.
Oh,
the
nice.
Houston dude.
I don't know. My bit rate is like
didn't rush
really
it.
low right now, so I don't have your camera on, so they can't see you. I'm sorry.
Oh!
Yeah, sorry. My data is like fucked
Well.
right now, so you'd be like a pixel on my screen, but yeah.
It's so sad, dude. I have a new camera and all, and I look way better on it.
Well,
No, that's upsetting.
how do you get a new camera and you give your fucking microphone away?
My friend needed it, so I gave it like for a couple of days, but
Wow.
it will be back soon, you know?
Okay.
But this camera has a better microphone as well, I think, so it doesn't sound that bad. And yeah, it doesn't look like, it doesn't like destroys my face and the, you know, stuff. It did this like mirror shit that everything looked like kind of like bent, I guess, like.
Oh, kind of like a fisheye lens a little bit.
Yeah. So people started writing about my huge nose, and I swear it's mostly the camera.
Okay, well.
Yeah, whatever. Just it's better in my opinion. I gave that camera to my sister, and you know, bought this one.
Okay.
Yeah. On my work from The Economist journals, I worked with dudes from The Economist, and they paid me for, you know, stuff. I bought the
Nice.
camera on that. Yeah, I showed them stuff in Kharkiv, so yeah. We call it, it's called like a fixer in Ukraine, which is not about drugs, I swear. you don't give people drugs. If you're a fixer, you are like a person who takes care of journalists, basically. So you like show them stuff, you provide context for them, interesting information, you translate maybe, you like buy food for them, like
Yeah.
baby them, basically.
Yeah, if you're gonna do like journalism or tourism in another country, it's nice to have a local that actually knows the stuff around the place. And usually, yeah, these people are called fixers. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of do sometimes, but not always. Yeah, I mostly am like busy at the front now, so this is just my cousin called me and said that this is the really great people. I worked with them from The Economist. Can you like show them stuff? And I was like, okay. And they even paid me, which is pretty cool because they don't always pay, which is, you know, happens.
Jeez.
Yep, $200. That's a lot.
Well, nice.
Yeah. Yep.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Wait, how many days
What?
did you help them?
2.
For how long?
Like I spent like 2 days with them, basically.
Like the full days?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Ukraine, you know.
Yeah, I know, but
Well,
that makes it sound even more shitty. What the fuck? But okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I actually worked with journalists who I did content for, so I recorded video diaries. So I would like legit risk my life, like going to, you know, places that I get in shelled, and you know, and they didn't pay me. They like fucked me over. I was trying to get money for that and didn't work out. But you know, happens, I guess.
Damn.
I was pretty naive also. I didn't know that people are even paying for that. I was like, I just want to spread the word. I want to like, you know, help Ukraine. I want to be like the spokesperson. And they kind of like liked the fact that I didn't know that you're supposed to pay for that.
The question you should always be
Obviously.
asking when it comes to getting paid is somebody else making money off of this? If somebody else making money off it, you should almost always be like, okay, hold on, like I should be getting something here.
Yeah. That's what my friend told me, because they were like, he was like, dude, they're like making money, a lot of money out of this material. Like they're showing it gets like a bunch of views, and they did like an exclusive film with it with 15 minutes of me in it in Britain. So, you know, like they used my stuff quite a bit in the movie. It was like 45-minute movie, and 15 of it was me. So, you know, yeah, but I'm a bit like smart about that now, I think, but still. Anyhow, $200 is a lot. I bought a whole S camera for that, which is which is good. I think the investment, you know,
Gotcha.
for DGG is to see me better mostly.
That's good.
I'm joking.
Oh.
Anyhow, I probably should go to sleep because it's fucking late, really late.
Okay.
And have a severe insomnia, by the way.
Can I hold on? We have one unrelated question. Okay, ready?
Yep. Go on. Yes. Do it.
Okay. Just a question.
Why is it
It's just a question about Eastern European culture. Okay.
Go on.
Yeah. Let's say that you're hanging out with a person. Okay, and you guys are like on a date. Okay. And obviously you're both kind of interested in each other.
Yeah.
If somebody invites the other person, like at the end, like back to their apartment, is it generally expected that like they're kind of like sex is on the table? They're like there's like an expectation like, oh well, if you're inviting the guy back to your apartment, you probably want to fuck, or if the guy's invited the girl, he probably wants to fuck. Is that a thing or no?
I guess it's on what kind of date it is, and your age as well. If you're very young, I think it doesn't have to mean that.
Okay.
It can mean that you want to like just chill in the apartment and do stuff like watch movies, or I don't know, like chat, talk, play games, stuff like that, which is cheaper than going to a restaurant when you're poor, you know?
Sure.
So yeah, so I can cook shit for the person, for example. I really like it. I can do like, you know, food for them basically, and cook something nice for them or something like that. And it's way more cute in my opinion than going to the, you know, restaurant. So yeah, and that could happen. But if you're older, I think maybe a bit more like on the, you know, having sex side probably.
Gotcha.
But depends, yeah. Also, you can like maybe watch stuff as well. So like, don't go to the theater, which is again money, and they show some boring ass Marvel shit there. So
boring Marvel shit? You mean the best movies ever?
Yeah.
But okay, go ahead.
No, explosions and stuff like that. If you want to watch something with substance maybe, or something beautiful, aesthetic, then you can watch it on your, you know, what you choose yourself, like on your computer basically, and have like a movie night with a particular movie that you want to watch, that not shown in theaters, but you know, you want to watch it. Some old stuff maybe.
Okay.
And you know, stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But I guess when it's more applies more to the person you know, I think. So like maybe if it's a person you like, if it's just strictly a date, then there might be an implication for sure if you like invite person to your house, but does not have to be, I think.
Okay.
And again, depends on the age. When we were like really young, we didn't have like money at all, right? So we wouldn't waste it on like cafes or restaurants. You just couldn't afford it. So the best way to do that was to invite person to your home and like do stuff for free, basically, sort of, I guess.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah.
So,
okay.
yeah. But then when you like can afford it, then you can of course take person somewhere else. Also, there is a thing I think like it's more intimate like that. I think when you're like, but in the restaurant there's like a bunch of people around, right? So if you want to have like, there's music, there's people talking, laughing, and sometimes it's cool. I mean, you want to like chill amongst people, right? But sometimes you want to like more of a, you know, in-depth conversation, I guess. So yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
That's my But yeah, of course, if you like wanna come in, you know, then yeah, maybe that means like you wanna, you know, at least make out, at least.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Okay.
What is it like? It's like a dire question or something.
No, it's a long story.
Every time you wanna. Last time you asked me about, you had this exact smile. The last time you asked me about which day of the week is the first. So.
Oh yeah,
know,
that was
I know
another.
what to expect this.
We've had it's a very passionate
Monday.
discussion we have in our community about this question. So yeah.
I see. So what people are thinking right now in the chat? Are they like, you know, thinking that you have to fuck immediately if you invite someone, or is it like a debate over there or something?
Yeah, it's a long it's a long thing, okay?
I see. Right.
Basically,
Well,
I don't. It might be different in like different countries, which I've said. But like my thing is that like generally, if you are hanging out with a person, and if it's like you're like off of like a dating app or somebody you're kind of like courting or whatever, they're like usually when people are inviting each other back to people's houses or like apartments, there's usually like you're like ramping shit up. There's like almost like an expectation, like oh shit, she invited me back to her place. There's like probably something's gonna happen or whatever. Usually, but yeah. But then a lot of people said that when I said that, that's like rape and shit or something. So I don't know. We go back and forth on it. It's all good. Or no, I'm exaggerating. That was
rape
not.
is a bit too much.
Yeah, no. But yeah, people are saying that.
I see. They meant like expectation is.
Yeah, that it's like really negative, right? Yeah. And I'm saying, and I like obviously like you shouldn't like you can't hold somebody to it like oh you invited me back to the house like I have to fuck you. But I'm just saying like the expectation is going to be there. So if you're a woman and you don't want to fuck, at least in the United States, you probably shouldn't be inviting people back to your houses because they're going to get like really mixed signals. And then same thing with a guy too. Like don't invite a woman back to your place like unless you want her to think that you want to fuck her or whatever because that's what people are going to say.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What are you melting about?
Someone brought you food. Yay.
Yeah, someone. That's my wife. Okay. What the hell?
Oh, hello. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Jeez. You should be.
Disrespect.
Super disrespect.
Yeah.
No, I'm just fucking with you. You can't disrespect her. She's Swedish. It's okay.
Oh, I see. Makes sense.
Jesus.
Applies to me, I think, as well.
True.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, well, Slavic is like way trashier than, Swedish.
Wow. And despite how trashy you are still racist against the Romani people, so, geez, I see where the ladders are for all the European people.
Come on, we
okay?
talked about it.
Okay.
We talked about it already.
Uh-huh.
You tried to go. Oh, another smile we had actually. I remember this exact smile, the cheeky one, was when you were about to ask me the Romani question.
Yep.
So you were like setting me up for some shit. Obviously.
The RQ. I wasn't setting you up. Hold on, I wasn't setting you up. I was just curious. Okay.
Of course, curious. Yes. When I said Dylan didn't like my answer, you were like very cheerful about that. You were expecting some juicy stuff, I think.
Oh no, it was just like funny because it seems like fucking like if Hitler had killed like Romani people in the Holocaust, I don't think any of you European people would have minded. That was basically what I was. That's kind of how I felt, but maybe not. Maybe I was wrong, but.
I want to disagree, but that would be not true.
True.
So yeah, what you said probably applies to most people for sure. Yeah, that's a problem, I guess. Yeah, but I did tell you some crazy stories about my interactions with Romani people, despite the fact that I don't think they're like genetically, predisposed to crime. I think it's a social issue, socioeconomical issue, and we should do something about it. But I had, before I go, the most craziest interaction with Romani people. Wanna hear? So when I was in Poltava, after I escaped from Kharkiv with my family stuff, I encountered a Romani girl. She was with a, how do you call it, the thing where you take babies outside, like small children, a crib, or how do you call it, cradle?
Oh, cradle, yeah.
Yeah, that thing. So she was standing with this thing, right? And she was very distressed by the looks of it. And were running next to her. I was very in a hurry basically. And she's like, please stop, I really need help. And I was like, oh fuck, it's a Romani person. Like 90% chance she's about to try to rob me or scam me.
Jesus.
But I was like, well, I will try to be not racist, right? So I will try to engage. I was robbed before, so there's that, and scammed as well. So one Romani lady actually nicked my phone.
Damn.
Fucking hell, and I couldn't afford to buy it for weeks. So yeah. Anyhow.
I'm sure you come across a lot of friendly Romani people, okay? That didn't do anything bad though, right?
No, unfortunately. But anyhow, basically this lady, I talked with her and I was like, what do you need, right? How can I help? And I really need to make a phone call, she says. And I was like, oh fuck, it's about nick my phone again. But I was like, okay, fine. She looks very distressed. And I was like, okay, tell me the number and I will call it myself without giving her the phone, basically.
Okay.
And she was like, oh yeah, call this number. And this is my mother and stuff. And we called and nobody picked up. And she was like, call my husband. And I was like, okay. And she literally grabs the phone from my hands and start talking with him in another language. So yeah, and she was talking, screaming on the phone. And I'm watching it and I was like, oh, come on. I waited for 5 minutes and I was like, I really need to go. And she was like, okay. And while she was talking, I looked inside this cradle and the baby was all naked very dirty and looked fucking dead.
Okay.
No joke. Like it was like pale as shit and like very like not moving, like not breathing that much. And I was like, holy fuck, like is the baby dead or some shit? And she's like, my husband like left me and the baby like pooped all over the place and I have like no clothing and I really need to get him. He went to the drugstore and he never came back and I just need to reach him. I have no money. Can you give me money? Stuff like that. And I was
Okay.
like, holy fuck, what is going on here? And I was like, well, I didn't have like money. I have only like a card and like online money basically.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you need? Like, she's like, I need diapers. And I like, okay, like I will transfer you stuff. It's not that much. I will think, what a moron I am. Basically. And then I'm trying to, transfer stuff and I look at that fucking baby and it looks dead. And I'm like, and I'm asking her, like, is the baby okay? Is like the child okay? And she's like, gets very angry. And she's like, yes, it's fine, he's fine. And she's like screaming at me basically. And I was like, okay, lady, like, I don't like know what to do with it. And I just walked like away basically. And 2 minutes away from this place, and I get a phone call, and it's from an unknown number.
Yeah, the one she.
And
Yeah.
it's the one she called. And the one she called, yeah. And I picking up the phone, and the man is like, picks up the phone, like, and I was like, oh, is that you? Your wife is like standing in this place. She's like searching for you. Where are you? She says you went to the drugstore and you like disappeared. And he literally says, the baby is dead. Don't call me. It was fucking dead.
Oh. Okay,
And
that's
I
like
was
the start of a horror
what
movie, but
in the-
okay.
What in the actual fuck? And I was like, and he's like, don't call me, tipo, call the police. He said, call the police. And I was like, what? And I am like returning to that place basically, and there's no women. No, that woman is no longer there with the
Okay.
cradle. And I'm calling like my policeman friend, Denise, his name is, in Poltava. And I was like, dude, this happened. And he was like, well, you can call I give you the number who to call, but they won't do anything. And I'm like, why? And he was like, that's Romania, nobody gives a shit. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is like the baby story basically. I'm like not 100% sure it kind of looked dead. But then when he said it's dead, I think it is. So yeah. So I did call the police still, despite what he told me. And I described the situation. At first they were interested, but the minute I told them it was Romani people, they were like, fuck it. So yeah.
Okay, well,
Sorry.
Jesus. All right.
Yeah. That's the craziest one I had, honestly. Nobody did anything to me. So nobody like robbed me or scammed me or some shit.
Mm-hmm.
But, it was weird. Let's put it like that.
Oh yeah, this one's pretty weird, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And also while this was happening, there was like sirens blasting. It was an air raid at the same time. And I was like, oh.
Oh, so this
what
was
is
really,
even my
this was
life?
recent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
In
okay.
Poltava it was in April,
Mm-hmm.
I think. Or maybe in May, something like that. Yeah. So that is the story I will leave you with, I guess. Dead
Okay,
babies and
well,
cradles.
thanks for
I like
the,
that the husband was like, don't call me, but call the police. The baby is dead. And I'm
Jesus,
like,
yeah.
So he kind of like, I assume, fucked off. So he like told her he's going to the drugstore, but he actually like ran away.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the fuck, I don't know. Maybe he assumed if he will call, they will like arrest him and stuff. Who the fuck knows? I don't know. The story is weird. Yeah, well, anyhow, see you guys. I'm
Yeah.
going to go try and fall asleep. And yeah, I have like the worst case of insomnia, so there's that. Probably 0 chances of me sleeping, but at least I can try.
Okay, well, thanks for
Probably Eric on a nice story. Nice to bedtime story.
the... Thank you.
Well,
yeah.
yeah.
Good luck, be careful, stay safe, have fun.
Yeah, appreciate talking with you as always, and nobody sees it, right? The cute skinny guy. But,
Yeah, the cute skinny
well,
guy. We feel him, we feel his presence,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, he is present in my room. So yeah, well, bye.
Yeah, thanks a lot, see you later, bye.
Honestly.
Yeah, it'll
But
survive.
yeah, I really want to be this cat. I just want to chill and do nothing and be stupid. That's my dream life.
What do they call it? There's a fetish for that. Bimbofication, I think?
Okay, that was cute. Thank you.
1, 2, 3,
I appreciate it. I wish I could show you my rabbit, but he's in the room where my sister is, and I think she's also asleep already. So,
That's fair.
you know.
I know rabbits are more
Yeah.
skittish about being held sometimes anyway.
He's fine. He's so old that he doesn't care.
Okay. We can do
About
this.
anything, about bombs and shit. He's like, fuck it,
5.
don't care.
Rabbits are one of my
yeah,
favorite
which
pets.
Oh, he's cute. I will maybe send you a pic or something.
Oh, yeah, please
At
do.
some point.
I'm sure you have it on Twitter
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I do. His name is Ponchik, which is donut in English.
So-
Yeah.
A couple of people in chat have been screaming at me that you're going
Uh-oh.
to epically own me in a debate. And I've been getting ready this entire time with all of my bad faith rhetorical tactics. But I have forgotten what it is we're debating about. Would you mind reminding me?
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't call it a debate. You people are literally obsessed with the debate stuff. I'm like, would like to call it a conversation where I express my, let's put it like that, concerns with some things you said. And I would like you and your audience to hear my concerns and to think about it a bit. That's what I want.
Sure.
So,
Hit me up.
yeah, that's about it. Yeah, basically, I would like to point out first and foremost that I really appreciate your coverage of Ukraine, and I pretty much agree with, from what I've seen, with like 95% of stuff you say, if not more. So it's not like a, some huge ass thing. But what happened is basically I heard your comments about
Azov.
Azov.
Ooh.
And in a video,
Wait, where's
and
my
also
soundboard?
people
Fuck!
send me your tweets about them, which I should have pulled up probably, but I will quote, like, not directly, but your words that you said. And I, when I heard it, it was, I think, in maybe April. I'm not sure. My life is a bit, weird. I don't remember dates when I heard people saying stuff.
That's
but you were
reasonable.
covering basically what was going on, and I was watching your video. This is how I stumbled basically upon you, and realized you're the last good lefty on YouTube, basically. But the last hope of the Western leftists. But other than that, this phrase, I will admit, did hurt quite a bit. Especially because I respect you a lot, and you're not like a tanky, dude that calls me a Nazi whore and everything with Ukraine is Nazi. So these people I don't care about. I don't want to talk about them. But
Test.
in what you said is it was a bit rough. And what you said was basically that Azov guys should pretty much put guns in their mouths and like kill themselves, and you would be like,
Damn.
basically.
Savage.
Not a direct quote.
Own her,
but the
Vaush.
gist of it,
Own this
Also,
Nazi.
people showed me your tweets when you said, like, be careful, guys, to post locations of Ukrainian troops, not to, like, dox their location to the enemy unless they're Azov. This one?
Take him out.
The comments that people wrote to that were even worse than what you said. But I will not hold you accountable for the,
Take her
stuff
out.
that people in the comments says. I
Come
would
on,
like to
Vaush.
talk to you about what you said.
You gonna let this Nazi get away with this?
I will probably
You audio? Wait, what's wrong? Test.
share a story first. I know facts and stuff are important, but here's a little bit of a story. So you wished pretty much to the entirety of Azov battalion to,
Die.
die. And you said you would be happy if they die. And people in your comments said a lot of stuff like, yeah, put them to the meat grinder, stuff like that. And me, quite a lot of Ukrainians,
Jesus.
were highly offended by that shit. And I will try to explain why in the best way I can. So, to answer me this, for starters, are you of the opinion that literally most people or like every person in Azov is a Nazi? Is this your opinion?
No, not every. I mean, nobody has exact numbers. It's the Azov Battalion was like a regional defense group that emerged kind of their own volition during a period of time where Ukraine had essentially no military capabilities, and they ended up getting involved in the fighting in the Donbass pretty quickly against the Russian proxy invasion, and a lot of the Azov group people were like band-the-right ultra nationalists. There were a lot of far-right people there, but because it was also like a regional defense thing, a lot of people get pulled in on that. I don't know the exact numbers on this, and every time you check, somebody has like a different like estimation of like, okay, well there were 1,000 Azov people and 500 are Nazis, or actually 10,000 Azov, but only 1,000 are Nazis. You know, I don't know the exact bits. I know that they definitely have a pretty strong like average ideological disposition though.
Damn. He
Correct.
just fucking
On everything.
destroyed her.
I will just add a
Holy
little bit,
shit.
you know, details.
How is she gonna recover?
So basically, what happened is, as you probably know, Maidan Revolution happened, and after that we had no government, functional government. There was no like election, nothing yet done. So it was a clusterfuck basically. After the huge revolution, we had like no government, nothing. Our president escaped obviously to Russia, former president Yanukovych, and it was a pretty dire time. And in this exact time, of course, Russia decided to invade, which is obviously like the most like hard time in the history of modern Ukraine. They attacked, and they annexed Crimea, as you know, and then they invaded further. So Donbass, the drill. And we at the time had huge problem with like traders, with pro-Russian people in very strong positions of power, like judges, institutions, army personnel, stuff like that. They were like infiltrated pretty much everything, because before Maidan they controlled pretty much everything. Like not always directly, but many Russian citizens were even in control of pretty important institutions in Ukraine. So this was a clusterfuck, and we couldn't like literally trust anyone, and we had no functional army, but we had an invasion on our hands. So in the plans were not only Donbass, but also Kharkiv, where I'm from, also Odessa, and other places. So basically, the people who ended up being the only defenders of this country were those volunteer battalions. Not only Azov, many other as well, like Aidar, many other. And they were, as you said, primarily far-right people. Some of them were very us people, suspicious guys. So, like ultras, so like football fans. They were like maybe like some kind of like gym culture, alpha male dudes as well. There were a lot of people there, honestly. And reasonably, the main person who created Azov, Beletsky, was a literal Nazi. So there's like no way around that shit. So he was like basically Jews everywhere, like they control the banking, crypto Jews, the dance. Yeah, so basically all of that shit. White race, which was a cringe and a half in Ukraine, because nobody literally talks about race here. We're like very homogenous, there's obviously there are people here who are not white, but the majority of people are white, and it's not like a big conversation. People talk about ethnicity, people talk about nationality for sure, but race, it was like a topic that people like didn't even like pick up. And basically he was that.
Wait, here's a question. Melina asked me this the other day. I don't actually know the answer to it. Why do different dog breeds look so different, but they're all dogs? Why aren't there like different human breeds that are like big, like fucking like greyhounds, or small like chihuahuas? What is like the scientific explanation for that? Dogs were ultra bred. If you were to selectively breed humans throughout like fucking like 100 generations, could you get them as significantly different as like dog breeds are? Because dog breeds are very, very, very different. Well, I mean, they're different in like size and shit from one another at least. People keep saying Neanderthals. I don't think Neanderthals were as different from Homo sapiens, because Neanderthals weren't Homo sapiens, as like a Chihuahua is from like a Saint Bernard. They were called Cro-Magnons, and we genocided them, based. We were made in God's image. There can only be one type of human. Oh, okay.
So yeah, so he is the one who created Azov, which is true. And he was a Nazi, but then he kind of fell in love with Israel, which I don't know what the fuck is that. that about? He kind of realized that his perfect ethno state all along was the Jewish one. And he then started to use this, by the way, to explain he's not anti-Semitic, because he's like, well, I love Israel. And I was like, what? It's forget Beletsky. Basically, he created Azov, and he's a Nazi, yeah. But afterwards, then many people who were also in that battalion, like Yemichev, for example, who is from Kharkiv, by the way. Like most of them are, by the way. They are from Kharkiv or Donbass. They are not Westerners, as many Russians tell you. Bandera, Western people. They are actually Russian-speaking Easterners, primarily. Kharkiv, Donbass. So, as you can imagine, they would be the ones to want to defend their Donbass, where they're from, obviously, right? So it's not only they are like very aggressive people, but they also it's their home that is invaded, like entire east, pretty much, right? So most of them then they had some quarrels basically amongst each other. Some were trying to ditch Beletsky because of his idiotic anti-Semitic rhetoric and that people did not support. It's really hard to sell Nazism in Ukraine. Really hard, because people basically like hell-bent on hating it because it done so much damage, So for example, in America, you didn't have like a Nazi annihilating you, right? So, but in Ukraine, so many people died, like millions of people died. And Soviet Union, of course, years of Soviet Union were primarily concentrated on hating like Nazism and on saying how great we are because we defeated Nazism, right? So it's pretty hard to sell Nazism in Ukraine in that term. But he didn't manage to do that. He was very interested in politics, not in fighting. He created his own national corps. Not corpse, whatever. Not the dead bodies. National something corpse, I think, but I can pronounce the word correctly for make it not sounding like dead bodies.
It's core.
So basically, oh maybe yeah.
You ignore the P and the S and just call it core.
Yeah, so basically that's what he created. It was deeply unpopular among people, among even far-right people in Ukraine. Nobody like vibed with that shit.
Any New Year's resolutions? Yeah, my resolution this year is to beat Factorio.
In Verkhovna Rada, which is like parliament in Ukraine. He got 1 seat first time and 0 seats the next elections. So not very lucky in terms, getting power. So other than that, what I was saying is that people started to defend their country and fight to prevent Russia from going any further.
Does this
work? So pretty much the only reason why my Kharkiv and me, as a person, were not occupied by Russia in 2014 is them. So despite everything, I will be forever grateful for that, for obvious reason, because I don't want to be killed, raped, and imprisoned.
Loser.
So yeah, and I want to be a Ukrainian, as many other people want to be, So
okay, Vaush, let her have it.
They were kind of like integrated in the army as a whole.
In 2014.
So not like as volunteer entities, like separate battalions, right? But integrated in Ukrainian armed forces, which was a good thing, because literally they started to blend in with everyone else and get de-radicalized. They separated themselves from Beletsky and his political party entirely, almost entirely, and they started to get way more new members, just people who wanted to protect their home. And the only people who were fighting back in the day were these battalions. So if you wanted to protect your country, that's where you had to go. You didn't have a regular army, which is weird for America to understand, I think. But we had like...
Wait, did Straight Array ditch her first panel? Is that really what happened? Uh-oh.
Zero army.
Did she go full lav?
And these guys were the ones who started to get more people there, like from various ethnicities. So like Jewish people, Greeks, Azerbaijani people, all sorts of people started to integrate and to become part of this, force in Azov as well. And of course, this helped with, dilute this nationalist, very far-right vibe they were having. And yeah, so this is basically what happened. And at this time, pretty much Nemechev denounced, he's like the actual leader of Azov right now. He denounces like what Beletsky did. He also denounced his far right and...
Oh, it was the map panel. She want to talk to pedophiles? Nice. I guess she's like 17, right? Wouldn't that make sense?
Anti-Semitic stuff. And he said that they have like a 30% of very, very far right people in Azov right now, which is his estimation. There's very much, like you said, you cannot check that shit, honestly. So how would you like, say, yeah, 30%, yeah. But that's what he says. And also we cannot jump in his head to see, are you a Nazi? But at least his rhetoric has nothing to do with that. And not a single like manifesto of theirs has anything to do with anti-Semitism or any racial shit at all.
Like my
Mostly
manifestos.
they talk about anti-imperialism, so fight against Russia, and they are very NATO skeptic and very Eurosceptic. So they don't want to be part of European Union and part of NATO. They want like independent Ukraine, and they hate like communism, Soviet Union shit, and Russia. That's like the main gist. And again, not to say that there are no Nazis there, for sure. But, the majority of them right now are not Nazis.
All right,
So,
Vaush,
here's my
destroy.
problem. Why did you think it's okay to wish those people dead?
Oh, sure. Well, I don't and can't really care if Nazis die, because the political consequences of them living are generally far worse than, them not making it along the way. The main concern that I have, and this has been lightened somewhat recently, because Ukraine actually has a pretty resilient liberal democracy, which means that it's sturdy politically. But the concern that I have is that what you call watering down, I would call like integration and normalization. That by having people in the Azov battalion washed into the mainstream military, they get quieter, they get less overtly anti-Semitic because that stuff doesn't sell, but they...
By the way, I don't think people can do this. This whole idea of like covert like people are secretly racist and it goes underground and then it foments and they get these like secret. I don't think it works that way. I think that like if you're forced to like hide amongst a group of people, you're going to start to lose those radical beliefs just because it's virtue of like being around people that are thinking differently than you. Like you're going to start to adopt their way of thinking. I don't think you can maintain these radical beliefs and hide them and disseminate them in a group of people.
Quiet.
Because that works contrary to how we believe like other things can work, right? If we think about like racialized humor, why do we not like racialized humor? Well, because if people start to tell racist jokes on you for long enough, you're probably going to start to like get a little bit racist. If you take like the biggest racist ever and you throw them into a group of people that aren't racist at all, I think eventually they're like, okay, I don't vibe with this as much anymore. Even if they are kind of racist, like I don't know, I just don't talk about it. I just don't like. I think that's more likely to happen than anything else. But
Italy tried to build power within those institutions. That is, after all, what happened in Germany after the fall of the Third Reich. And it's what's happening right now in America, where they stay, more quiet, and they go like, okay, we have some legitimacy now. We can gain accreditation as heroes of Ukraine. We have sacrificed ourselves. We've laid our blood and sweat on the line to defend it against Russian invasion. And now we have some legitimate institutional power. So we have to keep quiet for a bit, but one day, we'll take back what's ours. And this happens all the time with far-right ultranationalism.
when does it happen all the time? Wait, like I'm gonna need, if we're gonna say all the time, I would want 3 examples, but could I just get at least like 1? Like where like sleeper, like I feel like in order for these people to become popular, it usually requires a whole bunch of like outwardly popular support, right? Like Hitler, I don't think Hitler, well, something can be wrong, but I don't think Hitler was like a secret fucking dog whistling. Didn't he write Mein Kampf before he became like any like big chancellor or whatever of fucking Germany? Hold on, when was that? I need to check. Mein Kampf, Wikipedia. When did Amazon list this book? Okay, published in 1933, right? Like, yeah, it's not like he was exactly quiet. It's not like Hitler was in here like subtly trying to turn them with 4chan humor, right?
Groups. Now, whether or not that's actually going to play out, like, obviously, I don't know. And at the moment, I don't think it will. In particular, I don't think that Euro and NATO skeptic vibes in Ukraine are going to survive the war with Russia. I think that the, pro-EU, pro-NATO sentiment is just too strong. I think that Ukraine has a bright future ahead of it, and I don't think any effort to subvert that with some kind of weird, isolatory ultranationalism would work. But I do think efforts are being made. There are a lot of photos of Ukrainian soldiers who have like weird Nazi memorabilia patches on their shoulders and stuff. And a lot of Western leftists, they see this and they misinterpret it. They think, oh, look at this, they're all Nazis. That's not true. In reality, it's a small group of Nazis in the military making an effort to be in front of every camera shot because they want to front themselves. It's the same reason why a lot of U.S. Military officials over in Iraq and Afghanistan were very keen on promoting like Western Christianity in the photo ops that they would do over there, because they want to overemphasize the presence they have in the in the occupation. You know, they want to overemphasize their involvement. In truth, like, edgy statements aside, if you're like a Nazi in the Azov battalion, like a proper Nazi, I mean, you know, like ideologically, I think the best thing that you can do is, obviously the best thing, like the best thing you could do is fight, win, and be de-radicalized. You know, I'm big on that narrative. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have so many former alt-righters in my community. But if you're not going to be de-radicalized, if we can magically assume that you're going to stay a Nazi your whole life or whatever, I think the best thing you can do for your country is to fight and die defending it against Russia. That way, you defend against Russia, and you rid Ukraine of your subversive and destructive political ideology. I mean, a great many of them did that down in Mariupol, so it seems they're taking that advice to heart anyway. I know that in reality, people always have the ability to change, but also in reality, oftentimes they don't. And there are really bad consequences to the valorization of far-right ultra-nationalist military brigades, you know, in the context of making them national heroes. We saw what that did with Bandera, after all. I mean, he was a Nazi collaborator and hailed as a hero of Ukraine because the ultra-nationalist element was seen as a,
Not because he was a Nazi.
No.
He was fighting against Soviet Union and Nazis.
Exactly, but he was a Nazi collaborator until they rejected him.
At a point, yes.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right?
For sure.
Being an ultra-nationalist means that you
What up, Tiny? Much love from Kuwait. Holy shit. What's up, dude?
get to be a hero in spite of having done that, and that's my concern.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I worry about. It
things.
whitewashes, you know?
Three things.
Three things.
First thing, you said that you don't mind and cannot mind like Nazis dying. You think it's like a good thing, essentially. But you yourself admitted that that you don't know if the most of the Azov battalion are Nazis. So when you did not wrote Nazis in Azov should put guns in their mouths and kill themselves. You did not say dox the locations of Nazis in Azov battalion. You said just Azov battalion. And most of people there are not Nazis. That's the first thing. So I really don't get how it explains why it's okay to say that, because I understand wishing Nazis to die. But you said yourself, you don't know. Are they Nazis? Are they not? You don't know.
Well, it would be like...
that's one thing.
Oh, I just want to say, it would be like me saying, I don't really care about, like, Wehrmacht losses in the siege of Stalingrad. The majority of the Wehrmacht weren't, like, committed ideological Nazis. A lot of them were just dipshit German recruits.
Are we really doing that? Are we really comparing those people to Wehrmacht?
Well,
those
wait.
People who literally defend their homeland, did not hurt a fucking anyone, did not do any anti-Jewish pogroms, did not commit any crimes, did not have this rhetoric published anywhere. Are we like truly comparing this? You think a good comparison?
I'm only talking about Nazi-affiliated or associated military groups in which not every member is an actual Nazi. In the Wehrmacht, there were tons of people, even towards the end, like post-Battle of the Bulge, you know, when the Germans were fighting in Germany. The majority of the people who were recruited to the Wehrmacht by that point were like 15-year-old boys. I mean, they were, you know, hardly like the like SS members, hardly like ideological warriors of Nazis.
They were recruited in a Nazi army, in a country that attacked other people, that committed genocides. You cannot possibly compare people who went to defend their homeland.
Or can he?
I think it would depend.
Work.
It would depend on their reasoning. In terms of like
reasoning was defend my homeland from Russia. That's the reasoning.
Yes, but it really depends on why they're doing it as well. And this is why I worry about ultra-nationalism being a kind of whitewashing force for like far-right neo-Nazism, right? You can want to defend your homeland for very wrong reasons. It's true that the Azov battalion is fighting a defensive war, and the Wehrmacht was most certainly not. But in terms of like the moral character of the people in those armies, in the SS, pretty much everyone was a Nazi. There's no getting around that. But in the Wehrmacht,
Yes.
the reasons people would have joined up or been recruited would vary enormously. To give you another example of this like principle in action, I don't think the majority of the people who are invading Ukraine, like Russian soldiers, are ideologically anti-Ukraine.
Vaush is missing here the bigger picture that that Anna brought up, which is that like the soldiers of the Azov battalion are principally fighting a defensive war against a foreign invader. Full stop. The soldiers of Germany were part of a Nazi army that were fighting against like foreign. Like it's the purpose, the function of the army, irrespective of the individual ideologies, is like way different. So the comparison of these two things is just not. It's not accurate, right?
I mean, a lot of them are conscripts, and a lot of them are just, you know.
Not all of them are, but not all, for sure.
I'm sure a lot of them are, but hardly all of them. But for the same reason, when I see Russian soldiers killed in Ukraine, I know a lot of those people are probably good people who are just, by sociological circumstance, thrown into situations in which they are playing the bad guy, but they are still the invaders. And for that reason,
Again,
I can't...
there are invaders. There are invaders. We're not, and we never have been.
Yes, but in that instance, we're just talking about, like, whether or not every member of that group is an adherent to an ideology or belief system that I think is harmful. Even if there was a purely
you don't
defensive
know.
conflict.
Sure, but you don't know the reasoning. You don't know who these people are. You yourself said that you don't know if there are Nazis, and I'm pretty sure that at least half of them, if not more, are not. So I explained to you the situation already, and yeah. So this is my issue. I don't think it's a good way to do it. I don't think I again respect you. This is nothing like you know. I'm not like trying to paint you as like a awful person for saying that. I'm just trying to explain that to me it's very brutal to say something like that to people who are
Paint him.
first of all defenders of this country,
That's awful.
and second of all are not Nazis. Not all of them, not even the half of them.
Okay.
So if they were like actively committing like some shit against Jews, if they were like, even if they were talking about it, that's another conversation. But
Okay.
they don't.
To use
So-
a specifically defensive context, then,
Yeah, do it.
to be a little bit more broad, only using like the defensive force involved.
Okay.
I also would not care that much about the death of Polish ultranationalists during the invasion from Nazi Germany in '39, or right-wing ultranationalist Brits who were killed in the Blitz.
What? If far-right people in your country are murdered by an invading country, you're okay with that? That's a wild implication. Like, could you imagine a conservative saying like, yeah, if we got invaded and there was a direct way to fight, I'd be okay with progressives being killed by like a Chinese or Russian invader. That's a pretty wild statement, my dude. Like, I think in the presence of foreign invaders, I'm pretty sure you're relatively unified as a country. Maybe in the Western world we are. In places where the boundaries are a little bit more artificial, maybe not. But I feel like for Western countries, if a foreign invader were to show up, I'm pretty sure you'd be pretty unified in that. I feel like that. I could be wrong, but I feel like that'd be the case.
By the Luftwaffe. In large part because even if they're on the defensive side of things, we're talking about people with fundamentally genocidal ideologies. Or like, yeah, like the Ku Klux Klan or something, or ultra far right, or like there were divisions of U.S. Pacific military brigades who fought against the Japanese, horribly racist, who went out there and combated them. And I don't really care about their losses either, you know? Whether or not every single member of these groups is like ultra far right aligned or whatever, as a general association, like the point that I'm making is that a war which at its end sees the fewest number of far right people alive is one which, you know, ensures the greatest likelihood of peace at the end.
Fuck, is there like an anime? I feel like something's like on the tip of my brain. There's gotta be an anime or a movie or something I watched where there's like an invading force and somebody's like, let's sacrifice the whatever people because if they all die, it's better for us if they like coming out of the war. Like, Jesus, that just seems like it seems kind of wild.
Obviously,
for
the
you,
greatest priority
the
is Ukraine winning, but that's why I think that the Azov battalion should be allowed to fight. And I've
Did it happen in Code Geass?
So for you, the general association with a far-right ideology is enough to condemn people to die?
Well, I'm not actually condemning people to die. I'm making a sort of errant statement.
I just hope they die to
which
foreign
I would in
invaders.
many other cases. I've made jokes about 9/11. I don't think it's out of line.
I see.
At least in this case, we're talking about people who have the potential to do real harm.
Stop! Don't do that. Don't say you're joking and then say potential to do blah, blah. You're not joking. This isn't a joke. This is a real position you have, right?
But how do we know that?
Because
I mean, they have
part of the
zero
Azov
power.
Battalion.
They are not glorified because some of them are anti-Semitic, They are glorified because they literally spilled blood for me to sit here.
Like Bandera.
That's why they're glorified.
They're glorified
Yes.
for being ultranationalists as a way of
Well,
covering
to
up
be
their
quite
far-right
fair,
views.
Bandera is pretty controversial figure because unlike Azov, he actually did kill Jews. So, you know, he's way worse in that sense because he's literally on UPA did commit crimes against Jews and Poles as well.
Do you think the Azov would if they had the ability?
No,
Why not? It
Definitely
was started
not.
by a Nazi.
Because it's not a Nazi battalion anymore. They don't spread that the
This is, I know I'm never, this is just why I just don't like the term. Like, oh, if one Nazi started your group, then every single person that joins in the future is by the transitive property also going to be a Nazi that wants to kill Jewish people. Like that probably doesn't logically follow. Like that argument is like Republicans were the ones that freed the slaves and Democrats voted against or like Democrats are the ones that voted against the Civil Rights Act. Like this doesn't really hold there, I don't think.
word. Most of them are just regular people who I personally know, by the way, and who are not Nazis, who are not anti-Semitic in any way, shape, or form. And this is not the vibe. This is not would be. If they did, if I knew that one of them actually were incredibly anti-Semitic and committed some kind of crime against a Jew, they should be prosecuted. Fuck that motherfucker. We do not stand for this here.
That's true. Destiny, quote unquote, or quote, would they do it if they had the ability, end quote. Vaush would literally execute political opponents in the United States if he had the ability. True.
No, I get
And,
that.
yeah, but
I'm
we
not
don't know
impugning.
that.
I'm not impugning you here.
Do
But
it, impugn her.
The
Yeah.
Azov Battalion was a militia group founded by Nazis who ideologically.
8 years ago.
Yes.
But they weren't founded to go kill Jews, right? I don't think the Azov Battalion ever did that. I don't remember the guy's name, but the founder, they referenced it. Even the guy that found the Azov Battalion, I don't think killed Jews. I haven't heard of like Jewish violence in Ukraine. I don't know if that happens. Or even had happened. I'm not sure. Maybe somebody can. No, it hasn't. I know. You know why I know it hasn't happened? Because if it had, fucking Hinkle and Haas would be fucking licking that shit all day, every day. Like I don't think in the past like 20, 30 years, I don't think that like Jewish violence has been like a staple of like Ukrainian life.
And
There's been a big change.
their
there.
founding has had an influence on the ideological predispositions of the group. Do you think
No, wait, not an influence. The founder was a Nazi. Let's put it plainly. I'm not just trying to, sugarcoat it. The founder was straight up a Nazi, but it does not. A lot of them are no longer affiliated with them. People like Nemechev are no longer affiliated with that. With Beletsky as well, they condemned
Beletsky
him. They
guy.
denied any connection with him. And I have no reason to doubt it at this point because they have not. There are no credible organization aside from Russian fakes that truly found them committing any crimes against Jewish people in
Okay.
the occupied areas.
Take her out,
And,
Vaush.
what you're
saying
End
right
her.
here,
Right here.
Again, this is the thing. I'm not talking about whether or not they've committed crimes against the Jewish people.
Boom.
I'm talking about whether or not it's possible that ideologically they would have did exactly what Bandera had done if the socioeconomic
No.
circumstances were permissive. Right now, we don't live in a...
No.
Destiny, anti-Semitism in Ukraine, late 20th and early 21st centuries. Dog, there was anti-Semitism in all of fucking Europe in the late 20th and early 21st centuries, okay? Or, well, 1900s. Sorry, hold on. I thought that was 1800s. Probably not as much anti-Semitism in Europe after post-World War II as there was prior to World War II. Sorry, my bad. You're lucky. Yeah, you almost caught a big
world
man
where the
there.
people in Ukraine can just up and, facilitate a Holocaust. That's just not a thing that can happen right now. But I think that if you went back 80 years, a lot of the people, if taken from now to then in the Azov Battalion, would have been collaborators. Certainly they're ideologically in line with that. The only difference between now and then is that now they're being given a pretext for ultra-nationalism and national self-defense without it being, directly framed through Nazi collaboration. And that's good, but the ideology is still there.
There's nothing in them, in their ideology. They are battalion. I'm not talking about a political party. Those are two different things. They are not anywhere there. You can see phrases like Ukraine for, white Ukrainians. It's not in their text. It's not something they talk about at all. In fact,
that's smart of them,
Sorry?
right? But the fact that they're not a political party,
I see. So you're incapable of believing that they are true about that. You think they are just hiding their power level, basically, is what you think.
Yeah, I'm sure there are plenty of people in the Azov Battalion who do that. That makes sense for a far-right group to do, and they've been doing that all around the world. Again, what we've seen right now in Germany. After the fall of the Third Reich, not every Nazi was persecuted, of course. A lot of them have sown seeds in the police and military defense, and right now there are a bunch of neo-Nazi militias in the hills of Germany, because only 3 generations ago, a lot of those people's ancestors would have themselves been members of the Nazi Party. They keep quiet. They talk about dog whistles. They talk about German sovereignty, and they talk about immigration.
I understand.
And eventually they have.
Yeah, I understand.
Right. Well, we see this in America too. I agree
They're
that
nothing like that.
Well, I agree that not every person in the Azov Battalion is like a card-carrying neo-Nazi. I definitely think there's a predisposition ideologically to the group.
Ooh.
Yeah, but again, I did not address this point. It was the initial points you made after I finished talking. One of them was that you are kind of afraid that they will be, get some power, something like that. They have zero power even before Russian invasion. The political party had 0 seats, 0. Nobody voted for those fuckers, like Beletsky and his party. I mean, in the beginning and in the second election, in both elections. So they have 0 influence. Nobody supports that shit. Literally, very few people.
But what about the secret Nazi
what kind
takeover?
Of power can they have? People do not praise any of that. People only praise defenders of Azovstal, for example, who, by the way, you wished to die. Those people as
if they're Nazis,
heroes.
Sure.
You didn't say that. You said just Azov Battalion.
Well,
so for them, you made this generalization that they're all Nazis.
The same way I would say I don't care if people died in the Wehrmacht, but then if you ask me so what if there was a person in the Wehrmacht who actually wasn't...
Wehrmacht.
Wait. This is a valid comparison. If I said I don't care if people die in the Wehrmacht, and you're like, okay, what if someone was in the Wehrmacht, but they were recruited, they're not an ideological Nazi, and also they won a defect? And I'm like, okay, well, that person...
It's not a good comparison.
I am only... Okay, fine. Let's use a different comparison. In the United States Civil War, the North invaded the South, but the North were on the defending team. The South started the war at Fort Sumter.
Yeah, no.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, actually. In terms of Civil War history, if the South could have seceded and had the North not fuck with them at all, wouldn't the South have gone with that? Or is that not true? Everybody's saying fired the first shot's a fucking retard and doesn't understand my question, which is fine. I shouldn't have even asked chat. I'll read about this later. That's my things to read. I'm pretty sure this. I think if the South would have been allowed to like have their slavery shit and done their shit and seceded to its own country, I don't know if the South would have necessarily wanted to go to war with the North. But I think the North wanted to, especially as they started winning like battles. I think they wanted to retake the South and reunify the country. I'm pretty sure that's the case.
So there were groups of Northerners who were led by generals who were like fully pro-slavery. There were military divisions from the North that were like not ideologically in disagreement at all with the South. The only reason they were invading the South was for like national unification. They wanted to stomp the Southern traders, but they weren't like anti-slavery. They were just on the other team. Now, if I said, let's say there was like a battalion of them called like, I don't know, like Fuckers Battalion, Pickles Battalion, right? Pickle, let's go with Pickle, okay. Pickles Battalion. And Pickles Battalion, they're doing good work, okay? They're shooting Confederates. I love it when they do that. But these people ideologically are pro-slavery. After the Civil War, they are going to fight to keep slavery in the South and push for it in Western expansion. If the people in Pickles Battalion died while fighting, I really wouldn't give a damn. Even if not every soldier in that group was ideologically pro-slavery, you know, and I can get specific if we're talking specifics, like, okay, well, maybe that person just signed up because of this reason or that reason. But I think it would be okay for me to say broadly, like, yeah, I don't really care if they lose this battle, because at the end of the day, they're only on the right side because they happen to be born there. They aren't ideologically in the right. And the Azov Battalion also is not ideologically in the right.
Christ.
They defend Ukraine because they're in Ukraine. But ideologically, a lot of those people are advocates of politics worse than what Russia advocates for.
Damn.
I understand.
Damn.
Not all of them, of course, but a lot of them.
Deeply disagree with everything you just said, because not because it's a bad comparison, this one is better, but I know where we disagree. Actually, it's not the I don't disagree with what you're saying. I would agree with it 100% actually if they were actually ideologically propagating awful things, and most of them are not, and they have zero power. So yeah, so this is why we disagree, because you see them as this like originally evil force, basically. Sorry for using this colorful language, but basically, you know, like this, the force that is potentially will, you know, bring some very evil stuff. But I just don't think it is. It's not like that. Most of them are just regular people from Kharkiv, from Donbass, who are not Nazis.
That's the case for all armies.
Not really. I mean, in a sense,
all
we wouldn't
armies
call
are
it like
composed
that, right?
mostly of normal people.
Azov is not the entire army. You know that. I'm not going even to address that. It's like
But
1,000
all
people.
battalions are
you guys know
composed
that.
mostly of normal people, right? Like, you literally any army, any force from
But
the
what
Mongol
I'm trying
hordes.
to say is that it is not their ideological drive anymore. It's not. They're not.
You think
there
you'll do anything
to-
special? 1
there-
million
there's
subs?
just no
Yeah, I'll dye
point
my
in
hair
that
back brown.
in Ukraine at whatsoever. Let me tell you a little bit of a story, just to address why it's so. I guess I cannot breach this. Maybe I don't have like the words for it, and I will tell you. I understand what you mean. I just understand that we are seeing things differently in that sense, because I don't see them as this threat as you do. I don't see them as this, you know, ideologically evil force that has some good people in it by chance. I don't see them like that. So this is why I guess we disagree, because the examples you bring I would actually agree with. I just don't see Azov as those examples, and this is why basically. So here's the thing. I told this story I think to Not So Erudite. I think you know her. I think you talked with her, Kyla, and the story basically is about my friend who I met him when I was in the university, and he initially escaped from Russian invasion in 2014. He was from Mariupol, and basically what happened is he and other people, most of my friends are from Donbass for some reason, I don't know why it happened in the university. Basically they all moved to other cities in Ukraine, right? To not be occupied by Russia and not to be part of this Donetsk People's Republic shit, you know probably about it. So they moved to Kharkiv, to Kiev, you know, to other cities basically. So let's call him Stas. He moved as well. So he moved to Kharkiv. But then he just couldn't deal with this shit, and he told us, me and my best friend who is now fighting, that he will be enlisting to defend his home. He cannot let Russians take it, and he just cannot allow it. He wants to defend his home, his loved ones, And Mariupol was, as you probably know, back in the day, indeed defended. So they did not let Russians take it, basically. And he then, oh, sorry, my computer is about to die. Fuck. No.
Oh, no,
Don't
wait,
do
this is
that.
okay.
I'm in it. So he enlisted in Azov, which was the only battalion at the time that defended, east. And also, a lot of them were from Mariupol. And he wanted to defend his hometown, first and foremost. And since then, for 8 years, he has been fighting in the battalion and fighting for Ukraine. And then when this phase of war began in February, he was the one who also, they had amazing experience in fighting. They were like one of the best soldiers at that point. So they were sent to the toughest places, like Mariupol, which you probably know. I think you heard, right? You talked about it, I think, about Azovstal.
Yeah.
And so he was there. And and we lost connection with him. And basically the last thing he said was that he's going to probably kill himself. Because, sorry, a bit emotional. So he...
Don't let her appeal to emotion, Vaush.
So he basically said he was going to kill himself because he doesn't want to be taken by Russians. He knows what they do. He knows what they do to, especially Azov prisoners. As you can imagine, probably they were like, their image in Russia is very inflated in this like this boogeyman, Nazi stuff. And they are many Russians show Azov soldiers captured ones as an example. They like torture them, do horrendous shit with them, honestly, like genitalia mutilation, like they look like concentration camp victims when the ones we got back. So he knew that his comrades were taken, and he said that he is very injured, and he participated in taking more than thousands of people civilians out of Azovstal building. So he saved thousands of lives, this person, and he then decided to basically shoot himself. Yeah.
Wow. Wait, what? Hold on. What the f? Chatter's actually supporting the Azov battalion for anything other than using them as cannon fodder. Wait, bro, it's a group of people that fight in Ukraine. I don't understand. I don't understand the extreme hatred. Even at like the worst propaganda about them, the initial thing was that pre-2014, maybe 10 to 20% of the Azov battalion were Nazis. That was the worst propaganda, is 10 to 20% of them. So this is like 100 to 200 people at the most, right? Like,
I don't know, honestly, if he did. Maybe he got taken. But this was basically the moment when I saw you saying that.
Don't let her get you on this one, Vaush. You gotta fight back.
So, yeah, sorry.
Fight back.
I don't know, I'm crying, it's stupid. So basically, yeah, I'm sorry for the emotions, but this is something I want you to consider.
Vaush is gonna get her, guys, don't worry.
Jewish, Greek, not a Nazi. A lot of them in Mariupol, by the way, Jewish Greeks for some reason. So yeah, this is the man.
People who research Azov said at most 20% were Nazis. Didn't I say that? 10 or 20%? Is that not what I just said?
Yeah, that's the story. And this is a regular person in Azov. He was never anti-Semitic. He was a Jewish person, religiously Jewish, by the way, ethnically Jewish. He was incredibly kind, and
Vaush is loading. He's loading.
Very actually kind of liberal in terms of like Ukraine. So very like even.
Now I understand what the chatter meant by emotionally compromised. Ooh. I respect that this is personal and sad, but it just proves her bias further. Big Giga chat.
Feminist, not feminist. He didn't call himself out, but he was like pro women. It's cringe here for people, men especially, to call themselves feminists. So they would never say it, but he was like very pro women, pro choice. Decent person in all accounts. So this is a regular person.
Come on.
Azov. My friend who went to defend their homeland, but you for some reason. And many other people are hell-bent on thinking all of them are Nazis, just because the original creation was done by a Nazi. So,
okay,
yeah,
here he goes. He's getting ready.
Very sorry.
Sorry, but not sorry.
Yeah.
You don't need to apologize for crying. It's a perfectly reasonable thing to get emotional over. I do take issue with your framing. You didn't take my advice. You never heard what I had to say. I want to be clear because I feel like we have to apply a non-selective standard for the way in which we talk about stuff like this. There are good people in every fighting force that has ever existed in humanity. If you were able to sort through all of them, you could probably find some morally good SS members, like people who were secretly waiting for the regime to fall or whatever. I mean, literally anything, like even the most morally heinous. When you make broad denunciations of literally any fighting force, invariably, you're going to be wrapping, not just fighting force, groups of people. You're going to be wrapping in people who are undeserving of poor consideration. If you are talking about, like, I've talked about the Saudi royal family, I have talked about the military of North Korea, I've talked about the Russian military, I've talked about so many different groups with broad denunciations. I speak in historical terms. Which groups do I want to see survive after all of this is done? The answer is going to be obvious every time. I don't want any far-right group to survive because those are the people that create the conflicts that end up killing more people down the line. Obviously, if you take a look at any historical conflict in World War II, who do I want coming out on the other side? Well, in the grand scheme of things, obviously, the people who won't do a second Holocaust. I mean, that seems reasonable. With regards to the Azov battalion, I want to be clear. This gets caught up in a lot of
Why doesn't he just admit he should have worded it differently? No. He worded it correctly. He said it exactly what he means. If you are politically far right, he wants you to die. And if you associate with people that are politically far right, you empower those far right people, and he wants you to die too. We're not equivocating here. That's exactly what he's saying, right? He's being very clear about it. So he didn't misword anything. He said exactly what he meant to say, and he's saying about exactly. If you associate with far right people, and that means like that might even mean you're a Trump supporter in the United States. The fuck no, I don't know what he thinks. But if you associate with far right people, you're just as bad as those far right people, and you should die.
Like anti-Ukrainian narrativizing that I have never bought into. Are there Nazis in the Ukrainian military? Yes. Are there in the American military? Yes. Are there in the Russian government? Yes. They are everywhere, unfortunately.
That's but true.
Nazis everywhere.
And I have never bought into the idea that the existence of Azov, no matter its prominence in some forms of media or how often they flash their black suns at the cameras when they're given the opportunity, represents some kind of innately far-right tendency in the Ukrainian military. The Ukrainian military and people, as far as I can tell, are more liberal-leaning than the U.S. in a lot of ways. They might end up being one of the...
What? Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, I gotta listen to what I just said again. What was that?
The strongest back, or some forms of media, or how often they flash their black suns at the cameras when they're given the opportunity, represents some kind of innately far-right tendency in the Ukrainian military. The Ukrainian military and people, as far as I can tell, are more liberal-leaning than the U.S. in a lot of ways.
I don't know what he means by that. The Ukrainian military people are on average more left-leaning than the United States. I don't know what that means. I don't know how to,
They might end up being one of the strongest bastions of liberal democracy in the West after what's going on right now in the U.S. and Western Europe. The reason I'm saying all of this is because I want to put like properly into context the things that I have said. You talk about whether or not a broad statement about military fighting forces is made valid based on whether they're on the defense or attacking, whether they're legitimate or illegitimate in their broader course. And I understand that. I want the Azov battalion to contribute to a victory against Russia after
I just want them to all die while they do it.
In the long term, in the grand...
I want them to die in the process.
In the grand scheme of things, a world with fewer Nazis, however many of them there were before and are now, is a world more likely to have fewer people die needlessly in the future. As far as I'm concerned, the only reason the Russian invasion is happening is because of the Nazi-ish tendencies in the Kremlin. It's a recurring problem.
I would call them fascists more, like Nazis is not there, like
They
they're not
lean
there, like
in.
anti-Semitic. Yeah.
They
Lean in for sure, like fascists for sure, yes.
They
but,
lean
yeah,
in,
they're
yeah.
not. It's a bit hard to lean in because, like I said, their whole identity is built on winning against Nazis, you know? So it's really hard in Russia, again, like in Ukraine, to sell Nazism.
We see a lot of that
Because,
here too,
yeah.
because there are a lot of like pro-Russia, like tanky types, you know, who are ideologically fully in line with Nazis. Like literally, they won't say Jews, they'll say Soros, but apart from that, they'll basically...
Yeah, I know that's up, yeah.
Yeah, this recurring issue, you know, and I would say the same in literally any other conflict. For instance, the U.S. invasion of Iraq, right? Or in Afghanistan, right? We were the invaders in Afghanistan, but generally speaking, the Taliban were far, far worse than we are. You know, like in terms of moral disposition and political prescriptions, we may have invaded Afghanistan, but the Taliban are way worse in terms of what they want to do with Afghanistan relative to us. And we can see that now in our absence, what they have done. The point that I'm trying to get at is that in all of these conflicts, all of these sides, whether we're talking winner, loser, invader, defender, so on and so forth, I have made many sweeping claims about which groups I want to win, which sides I want to see take prominence, which groups I think are more or less harmful, more or less deserving of death. But these ascriptions don't survive individual scrutiny. None of these are meant to be denunciations of any individuals because I don't know those individuals. Every person who from a distance is a member of some Nazi militia might interpersonally be like having doubts, or they might be totally in disagreement ideologically with the people around them but are going along with it because they really want to defend their country, or so on and so forth. This is the case in all these groups. I often engage in pretty like flippant language, and I think that for the most part this is like a fine thing to do. I don't mind doing that, but I want to make it clear whether I'm being inconsistent here or not with how flippant I was with talking about the Azov battalion people. The proper meaning of my statements, when given the highest level of scrutiny, are that I want even the Nazis in the Azov battalion, even the people who ideologically I would condemn, like right across the line, I want them to contribute to a successful defense of Russia.
Ukraine.
As long as they are Nazis, for those who actually are, their ideology is one of genocide and they would have me dead. And so I cannot mourn their death. If I speak in groups, any groups, people who are not Nazis will be caught into this. But
sorry, I would like to say I think I maybe gave a wrong impression to people, which people hate you a lot, so I would like to correct it for people not thinking that I'm doing that. I don't think you like bought in that all Ukrainians are Nazis. I'm perfectly aware. It's not even the point to talk about it because I've seen what what you say about it, what your community says about it.
all Americans
I
are
also.
Nazis.
I also did not mean like that you literally at fault for that person, my friend, died. Obviously not. He did not see you say that, and it's nothing like that. I just meant to imply that you have to maybe like consider like the language and what the
Boom.
I guess
There we go.
the meaning of words, I guess, in that sense, because what you said is not why he possibly is dead or captured. Of course not. But this flippant, I guess, disregard for their lives is what bothers me. I guess.
Oh my God, I've done it.
It's a good way to put it. Not from you even specifically,
I've
but
got
from
it.
many people. And
Even the
I'm mining a lot of green shit. Look at it go.
Well, I guess so. I don't think they deserve death. They don't have like
Working?
the power right now and they won't have it and here afterwards as well. So I'm pretty sure that most people talk about it in the way that they hate Nazism, they hate fascism, they call Russian fascists here in Ukraine all the time, like Ukrainians do, right? So this is not something. I don't think they want that to be. Most of them are in any way will try to or want to create any like far nationalist waves here or Nazi waves, and they don't have the power for it. So I'm not worried about it. If they did,
we thought that over here as well, though, is the issue, right? I mean, it's ideologically. Ideologically, a Nazi would be committed.
This is gonna sound very spiteful from me. I don't know how to make it sound like. We are seeing it in the United States a lot more, but in a roundabout way, I feel like I won't go ahead and say progressives are the ones to blame, but I'll say that like progressives have a lot of fault here because I feel like the main group right now that's propelled the anti-Semitic shit into the mainstream has been black people. Has been black celebrities, black athletes, I feel like are the ones that have really propelled it. And I don't think we're very much equipped to counter that narrative because we're not used to criticizing minorities for their racism. Like we don't have the tool set to even have those conversations. I think has a lot to do with how progressives treat minorities. I don't think Kanye West, I wouldn't blame like Republicans for him. I don't think Kyrie Irving, I don't blame like Republicans for that, or like far right people, right? Maybe stretch, I'm about to say blame progressives for it, but like I think that they've definitely hampered our ability to have conversations about minorities and their anti-Semitism. I think, yeah, but
Committed to my death. It's not even a conditional thing. By virtue of my blood, I would be on the chopping block for them.
like how long have we heard that like black people can't even be racist? Minorities can't be racist. Racism is prejudice plus power. It's prejudice plus power. Prejudice plus power. They can't be racist. Racism from them? No. Racism, that's prejudice plus power. Right? How many times have we heard that? And now we like have no ability whatsoever to even begin to criticize these people.
And for that reason,
Why is that? Are you a Jew actually, or something?
they would.
I'm
I've
confused.
certainly been called one by them. No,
I've been too as well.
Right.
The nose, you know.
They do
Yeah.
they do like
Yeah.
that. No, it would be, I assume, for my homosexual tendencies.
Oh, I'm not straight as well, so you know.
Well, then there we go.
I'm not the biggest fan of these guys, as you can probably imagine. They're not the biggest fans of me.
For
But,
me,
yeah.
it's not a matter of immediate harm. It's really difficult to know in the long term how harmful the presence of like valorized ultra-nationalist far-right militias will be in a country. Historically, that doesn't tend to go down very well when it comes to the acceptance of the ideologies that come with it. I can say right now that we're seeing a resurgence of fascism all across the West in
Yes, that's true.
in ideologies that we thought were
Yeah, but let's be honest about that resurgence of far right, like that far right nationalism, right? Did far right nationalism come back in the West because of like covert, secret Nazis that were hiding amongst normal people spreading propaganda, or was it like in response to other major events? Like the 2013 Syrian refugee crisis was probably a thing that spurred on a lot of anti-immigration sentiment. Things like Brexit, right, probably happened on the backs largely of a lot of anti-immigration stuff. Like I don't think it was because like in the West there were a whole bunch of covert, dog whistling, secret Nazis that were parts of these little. Like I don't think that's the reason why this shit happened. You know,
were dead and buried. For me, it's like, you know, it's like you read like a local or like a news story about somebody who slipped on some ice on the stairs and died, and you're like, oh, that fucking sucks. And then you read down, they're like, oh yeah, so and so was a renowned local neo-Nazi seen at this event with an armband, Sieg Heiling, and you're like, oh, okay, well, I don't really care anymore. You know?
Yeah, but that's not her problem.
I'm not advocating
her problem
for,
isn't you talking about a Nazi dying, it's you calling all the Azov battalion Nazis. That's the problem.
like their arrest and execution. I do believe in freedom of speech. It's just like as
Okay, here's my only. Oh yeah, it was the New York Times crossword puzzle. True, that's what brought all the Nazis out of hiding. That was their signal. That was like the sleeper cell fucking signal to bring them all out. My only scare here is that if I get full on this green shit, is that gonna cause a backup eventually? Because green shit is brought in here, 30 is brought in, 20 is dumped out, and then I'm starting to bleed off. All of my green shit is fed back to here. I don't think so. No, because I've got a priority set on my splitters here. I think it should be fine. Okay.
as long as, you know, it's a matter of like where my sympathies are.
Yeah,
at.
we're
It's like, person dies, comma, that person wanted you dead anyway, and it's like, well,
And then we got enough power
that,
here?
I guess.
I agree with that. It's not.
Yep.
It's not my
Our accumulators
problem with
hold.
What you said,
We're
honestly.
fucking
if I
Gucci.
like saw a pic of some Azov guy who died, like who were killed, I don't know, like for example, with a bullet or something, you know, and I like for sure was I knew that he was like a Nazi who like bashed Jews on the streets, you know, and gays, and maybe maybe be on one of those how do you call them, rainbow things I went to in Kharkiv. It's like pride, you know, like pride stuff, and we were, you know, hit by people, and you know, it wasn't good, and most of it was those people, you know, and so yeah, maybe those. If I see that picture of that person dead, and I am for sure aware of what he was like as a person, be that heartbroken, like just like you, I'll be like, oh, well,
It's like,
you know?
yeah, I like, you know,
yeah,
you could have done a better job
yeah.
living.
Yeah, I agree. This is what I think I'm like bad at expressing what I mean. It's not that I disagree with what you said. I wouldn't be, of course, like that upset as I would for like a person who is not a fucking Nazi, for example, right? And
Okay, hold on. I have to think. Sorry, real quick. Okay, what is my logic for these? Okay. If all 3 conditions are met, then and only then will we fire. So for all 3 conditions, I need to be receiving a signal from home saying that it needs material. And I need to have over 1,000 in here, meaning that my rocket is as full as it can be. Oh, it's not being sent empty. And I need to have over 1,000 here. So 2 conditions are being met. Oh, but I've got it banked at home probably. That's why it's not auto-launching. Okay, sorry.
but this is not, the thing is that you don't know if they are. In this case, I know they are this person, like a hypothetical person that like that was killed, and I know he like bashed my head when I was on Pride in Kharkiv, for example. This person, yeah, not a big fan, but I will implore people to maybe read up less biased, less Russian information about Azov, which you can find some nasty stuff about them for sure, especially Beletsky. Fuck that clown.
Well,
but
we can't really know, because the thing is, like, there's an association,
that's my
right?
point.
Like the logo.
Association is not enough for me.
Well,
it's
not just association. It's like founded by a Nazi, and you keep seeing Nazi imagery crop up in the people who are part of the battalion. There's no way to do a poll, and also Nazis lie all the time when polled on stuff like this. They have to.
Yeah.
So I can't know and you can't know. I guess like.
Careful, Vaush. Vaush is arguing for a position of not knowing. Vaush is arguing for, I'm not sure. But if that's the case, then you should probably err on the side of caution and not err on the side of I hope they all die, right? You're arguing for a cautious position, but that's not the disposition that you want to take on this. You want to come out hard. So I would be careful on that. I should make rocket fuel here and send it back home for all of these. For my petroleum here. I don't know why I didn't do that. Oh, I stopped doing that. Oh, because I ran out of light fuel. Do I crack any of this? Oh, no. I'm not even using heavy cracking here for most of this. How fucking weird. That seems kind of dumb. I'm not fucking with that. I don't care.
I'm trying to think of how I could best... If I was being, like, perfectly careful with my language, then I would have said... If you're a Nazi in the Azov battalion, like I don't care if you die or whatever, you know. But for me, it really depends on like I guess the critical Nazi percentage, where it's like I don't know, like to go by the highest example, how many of the Wehrmacht were Nazis at the beginning of the war? Like what? Maybe I don't know, 90.
It's different for the Wehrmacht because this was the German military. They were fighting a war of aggression, so you would want anybody in this military probably dead. But that's different from Azov, right? It's different. If I put this here, is that gonna fuck?
80, and then how many are the Azov are? 20? 30? I don't actually know.
People mostly say 30. Which
how much
is
of
like
the
the
American
most,
military? I don't even know.
Oh, careful, because that's a good question.
Knows. I don't know. That's the way I don't like playing numbers game, because I agree with you 100% that you cannot like really tell. How the fuck will you tell? And yeah, but I guess my concern is flippant disregard for people's life who are not Nazis in that battalion first and foremost, and quite a lot of them are not, like my friend who was a Jew, a Jewish man, definitely not a Nazi. And
I've talked to Jewish Nazis. I'm kidding. I'm not saying your friend.
It exists.
Look, it's the internet. Lots of people out here. Look, in all seriousness, I want to be clear. You know, the callous disregard that I have for people's well-being here is really reserved for the people who want to do the Holocaust 2.0. If you're in the Azov battalion and you're not a Nazi, and I imagine that's the case for the majority of the people there, because it would be pretty difficult to maintain ideological purity in a militia that has been incorporated into the actual military. I don't know how they would discern their recruitment. Like, you know, oh, you're a Nazi, well, you're joining up with us. That'd be pretty tough to do. If you're not, you know, and you're a member of that group, difficult association optically, but fuck it. If you're not a Nazi, then God be with you. It's not a group denunciation applied to the individual. It's a group denunciation of the group. Of course, if you're a Nazi in the Azov battalion, then, you know, stop wanting to do a Holocaust, please.
I guess the biggest thing is that the, like I said, the disregard, and also it's not the policing of even of your language. It's just, I understand you're an edgy boy and you like edgy jokes. It's not that like that big of a deal to me. It's just that the concept itself, I guess, that
Oh my God.
maybe it's because you
She's
like,
his
think
Sejin.
there's like a very potential strong threat with them, which I don't see and I don't think is you know, the problem. And yeah, maybe that's the reason. Maybe you think that if they gain like prominence and power, and it will be in the future potentially damaging to
do worry.
maybe LGBT people,
A little.
maybe.
I worry a little, yeah. Because
Yeah.
you're all set up to be, because like here's the thing, right?
Here's
I
the
think
thing.
oftentimes national politics are defined oppositionally. America was pretty okay with Hitler before World War II began, right? Like, it was opposition to Nazism that stigmatized eugenics research in America. Having the Nazis as an enemy made America more left-leaning. And right now, having Russia as an enemy is making you guys more left-leaning as a country.
Does the left-right dichotomy work here? I don't know if that... I feel like that's not true. Does the left-leaning... I don't know if the left-right... I just don't even know how I would begin to analyze that. That just sounds so strange. I don't know.
You know, the far-right elements of Ukraine were predominantly like Russia-sympathetic Easterners. Kiev has always been more progressive than the Donbass. And over the past decade or so, Ukraine as a whole has moved left because you see what far-right politics looks like. It looks like Russia. You don't want that. And that's great. And you guys might end up being the most left-leaning country in Europe by the time this is all done.
What? We're stretching this dichotomy really hard. I don't understand. I'm not sure. Okay.
What happens in the West, and I just worry about this like ultra valorized, like, hey, we defended you guys against Russia, so everything we do and say is in line with the Ukrainian national interest kind of nationalism that was.
I worry.
I
Us I understand that, but I think you consider us a little bit more retarded than we are, which is
No. Listen,
understandable.
we're retarded. That's why. I wouldn't have thought this 5 years ago. The problem is we're retarded, and I know for a fact that you guys are the same species as us. That's my fucking issue.
True.
We're on the way down. We're sinking right now. I'm very worried. That's it. I don't think it'll happen. I don't think it's like a 51% chance or whatever. I just worry. I just worry a little. You know?
Which is, by the way, kind of funny when people talk about like Azov and shit all the time. Which kind of bad that we ended up talking about it. It's not that big of an issue, to be honest.
It's really not. And I am really sorry about your friend, and I don't mind you talking about this with me at all. By the way, I don't want you to think as though this is some like.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's fine. Like I said, I would like to. I do appreciate everything you like did, you know, in terms of Ukraine. And
wait, are we approaching the end of this? Also, hold on. I'll be back 1 second.